goals present a challenge in 1988. The Sooners lost 5 All-Americans, and most of their starters off of the 1987 team that finished 3rd in the country. One of the keys will be the health of Jamel Holloway, who is coming off knee surgery. Switzer calls him the best ever at running the wishbone attack, and Holloway probably wouldn't argue. To be a champion, you have to believe you are, and then play like one. We have a sellout crowd of 52,000 here at Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill. They're here to see the Sooners of Oklahoma take on the North Carolina Tar Heels. Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Patrick, and it's great to have you with us on ESPN. This is North Carolina's home opener. They lost to South Carolina a week ago. For Oklahoma, it is the season opener. It's my pleasure to be working with Kevin Kiley. And Kevin, Oklahoma has no returning starters on defense. They haven't played a game. They're still ranked 4th in the country. It's a great tribute to their program and to their offense.
Well, Mike, I don't think that offense has lost a step. The question is, has Jamel Holloway, their fine quarterback, lost a step? He's coming off knee surgery, but Jamel on one leg is probably better than most quarterbacks in the country on 2 legs. His problem is beating out the second-team quarterback for Oklahoma, Charles Thompson. Barry Switzer says he's every bit as good as Jamel, and that's saying something. If Oklahoma's going to have a problem today, it will probably be on defense, where they return 0 starters from the Orange Bowl against Miami. They're young. They may have a problem with recognition against that North Carolina offense. Mack Brown will move it around, maybe cause them some difficulty.
Of course, Carolina coach Mack Brown has more than a working knowledge of Oklahoma's offense.
Mack Brown spent 1984 in Norman. He was the offensive coordinator. In fact, the Sooners still use his audible system. Carolina is going to have a problem with speed today. They're not as fast as Oklahoma. You can expect Oklahoma to run around the perimeter all day on North Carolina. It's a great opportunity for North Carolina, though, I think, Mike, because you have an opportunity to beat one of the great teams in the nation, one of the great programs in the nation. I think what you need to do if you're North Carolina is get wild and crazy on defense and play a big game, and that's what they're going to have to do today, Mike.
All right, it's also a pleasure to be working with Chris Fowler. He's down on the sideline. Let's get his thoughts before kickoff.
Thank you very much, Mike. Talking about Coach Mack Brown, he told me the one thing that really impressed him about the Oklahoma program is confidence. The players know they can win every game, every year. There are no rebuilding years in Norman. Even though they only have 4 starters back from last year, these guys are all great athletes. You may not know their names now, but you will soon. Keep an eye especially on the offensive backfield. They are very young. They are very deep. Maybe the deepest unit ever in Norman, especially number 32, Mike Gaddis, is a freshman playing his first game tonight. Barry Switzer said he might be as good as Billy Sims before he's done. Mike.
Thank you, Chris. There's Oklahoma. In the last 3 years, the Sooners haven't lost to anyone anywhere except Miami. Here come the Tar Heels. 1 winning season in the last 4 years. It's Mack Brown's job to turn it around. ESPN's presentation of CFA football is being brought to you by AT&T, the right choice. By Thrifty Car Rental. For worldwide reservations, call 1-800-4CARS. By Kendall Motor Oil. For protection worth its weight in gold. And by Budweiser, it's been all Oklahoma. 5-0. They've outscored them 132-19. They won it last year in Norman, 28-0. North Carolina won the toss. They deferred to the second half. Oklahoma will receive. This is Cannon Watson who will kick it off to Mike Gaddis, number 32, and number 7, Rod Fisher, deep for the Sooners. Gaddis, 5 yards deep in the end zone, and Oklahoma will start from its own 20. Jamel Holloway is the Sooners' starting quarterback. He had the best game of his career last season against North Carolina. The fullback is Leon Perry, a junior. The game breakers at halfback, Anthony Stafford, who averaged nearly 7 yards a carry last year, and Damon Stell. The split end is junior Eric Frost. The tight end converted from tackle this week, Mark Van Kiersbilt. Center Bob Latham, a unanimous All-Big 8 choice. The guards, Larry Medice and Anthony Phillips, all conference 3 times. The tackles, Taryn Manning, a sophomore, and senior Gary Bennett. Holloway out of the option on the wishbone, gives it to Perry, and Perry is stuffed for a gain of only 1 yard. Stopped by Roy Barker, the defensive tackle. Carolina's defense has sophomore Dennis Tripp at nose guard. The tackles, Barker, as you just saw, and junior Cecil Gray. The outside linebackers, John Reed and Antonio Goss. Goss, a senior, the Heels' best player on defense. More inexperience at inside linebacker. A pair of freshmen, Cunningham and Hollier. We'll check the secondary for you in just a second. 2nd and 9, Oklahoma. And moving on the Oklahoma offensive line, Carolina comes across. Well, maybe the opening jitters belong to the Sooners.
Well, it's a team that plays with great confidence, Mike. I don't know if it's jitters as that the wishbone is something you really can't get down until you play it, and this is the first time they've had an opportunity all year.
North Carolina secondary, there are 4 juniors. Larry Whiteside and Skeet Baldwin at the corners. Dan Buletich and Victor Bullock are the safeties for Mac Brown. 2nd down, call it 13. This time, and Holloway under a lot of pressure, sacked at the 9. And it was Roy Barker, the 6'4", 264-pound freshman. And Kevin, you said they had to play like crazy men, and they're doing it.
This is a great first series for North Carolina. Oklahoma, by virtue of the penalty, gets himself in a position they don't want to be in, deep in their own territory. A passing situation. Holloway actually not sure and does the right thing. He eats the ball. You don't want to toss it up against a team that you're favored against this early in the game.
Oklahoma started at the 20. They're inside their own 9 on 3rd and 21. And they'll keep it on the ground. Stafford gets across the 10 to about the 13-yard line. And the defense converged on him. Dwight Hollier, number 53, in on the stop. And that's got to be a huge boost for the Carolina defense.
It is, but the big risk against Oklahoma is overconfidence. Remember, this offense will make a lot of mistakes. It's designed for the big play. You've got to play like that the whole game.
Thompson will punt. Eric Blunt, number 35, standing at his own 45-yard line for North Carolina. Not a real good kick. Blunt takes it to 48 and goes down at midfield. The North Carolina offense led by redshirt freshman quarterback Deems May. He was 13 of 34 passing in his first game last week. James Thompson, a senior, is the fullback. Torrin Dorn, the tailback, if he's healthy, is very good. The wide receivers, Eric Blunt and Randy Marriott, they dropped a few last week. They can't tonight. Damon Houston will start at tight end. All 5 starters are back on the offensive line. We'll check them in just a second. Carry. Stutter steps his way for about 3 yards to the Oklahoma 47. On that offensive line for Oklahoma, Jeff Garnica, he is the center, probably their best player. Steinbacher and Crowley, all conference as a sophomore, are the guards, and a couple of big seniors at the tackle, Darrell Hamilton and Creighton Incorminius. All these guys were starters a year ago. This is the strength of North Carolina's offense.
Problem with that is it's a different type of an offense, and they've had trouble adjusting to the new offense.
Thompson got an early start. Deems May on the option, and he gets stuffed by Kurt Casper, number 46. Graduation injuries and academic problems mean that Oklahoma's defense has no starters back from last year. Tony Woods will get the call at nose guard. The tackles, Tom Backus and Scott Evans, both sophomores. 2 more sophomores at end, Adrian Cooper and James Good. Probably the Sooners' best on defense. The inside backers, Frank Blevins and Kurt Casper. The corners, freshman Jerry Parsons, senior Scott Garl. The safeties, Kevin Thompson and Ken McMitchell. They are both juniors.
5 of 14 last week on 3rd down conversions. Carolina has to do better.
3rd and 7. Torrin Dorn is in the slot. Pressure. And that should be a first down for the Tar Heels. Great scramble by Deems May. Got inside the 40. Nose guard Tony Woods brought him down.
That's a set play, Mike. A quarterback draws something that we knew that they would run, and they run it right away. What they want to do is keep the Oklahoma defense honest. See that? He's not really looking for a receiver. Big hole in the middle. He's going to make those linebackers think about the Carolina offense. Good play.
May was a wishbone quarterback in high school. Thompson. He'll get a couple plowing into the middle of that Oklahoma defense down to the 37-yard line. No one is taking up a collection yet for Barry Switzer for his defensive team. Even though he doesn't have any starters back, these guys played an awful lot last year, and they're great players.
But as a unit, Mike, they have not played that much together, and it's a feel, it's an ebb and a flow. The guy next to you have to get to know him, and you can't do that against your own team. You need to look at an offense that's really trying to beat you.
2nd and 7, North Carolina. Benefield is in at fullback. He's the up man in the eye. Torn Dorn bobbled the football a little bit, got down to the 35-yard line, and Scott Evans stuck him there. Evans, a part-time starter from a year ago out of Edmond, Oklahoma.
And maybe the best player on the defensive line. Interesting, this is a really kind of a wild offense that they have here. Mack Brown's, he's an offensive type of guy. Offensive, that is, meaning his
instead of offensive.
And he'll move it around a lot, but he's got kind of the upper hand here, and he's just trying to hold on to the ball. An interesting play selection.
Marriott and Rankin go wide to the left. Eric Blunt wide right on 3rd and 5. Pressure, throws over the middle, and incomplete. What a shot by Garl. Maybe intercepted. The officials talking with each other, and it is. Intercepted by Oklahoma, Scott Garl.
This is great coverage, a crossing pattern on 3rd down, what you need to do against a team that's faster than you. Garl had great coverage, and Deems May throws this ball behind the receiver, not by much, but just enough. Look at the coverage there on both sides. Garl with a great catch and tremendous coverage.
So North Carolina, who was getting very close to field goal range at least, blows a big first early opportunity. Stafford and Stell are the halfbacks. Stell across the 35 to about the 37-yard line. Antonio Goss, the right outside linebacker, and Dwight Hollier made the tackle.
Goss may be the best player on the Carolina team all in all. He's a great outside linebacker. Not quite a Lawrence Taylor player, but a super-duper player. And they showed you there for Oklahoma what they can do. They can bring power to that weak side. That was an unbalanced line. They brought the fullback and the halfback, and they came with power and gained good yardage.
2nd and 4. Holloway on the keep. There's the pitch to Stell, and Stell goes out of bounds as he reaches the 44-yard line. And you will see it all day. Just speed from Oklahoma.
Again, unbalanced to the right, Mike, and they run the option, and Carolina overshifting towards the wide side, and the unbalanced line. They're short a man over here, and the pitch man wide open. Holloway doing a good job getting them the ball. They'll kill you with lineups, formation. When they come out in formation, they dictate to your defense, and they put you at a disadvantage.
Barry Switzer has never lost to an ACC team. Neither has Oklahoma before or since Switzer. They are 15-0. Perry, the fullback, grinding his way toward midfield. And North Carolina wanted to force the fullbacks to carry the football.
Well, if they can establish the fullback, Mike, and then they can establish the entire offense. Watch the middle of this line. You got the left tackle pulling, crossing over, and then Perry, who was out last year with a shoulder injury, he appears to be well as he powers up the middle. The size and the strength of this team, it cannot be described. They'll wear you down if they don't outrun you before that.
2nd and 4. It is a complete package for Oklahoma. Holloway on the keep. He's got him outnumbered again. Tripped over his own man, went down at the 47. He fell over Damon Stell, the right halfback.
You talk about Jamel's knee now as you look at his career stats, and he's got some pretty impressive stats. I believe the finest option quarterback ever to play the game. I don't believe that would have happened a couple of years ago. We're looking for things that maybe he doesn't do as well as he used to, and maybe that's one of them. I've never seen Jamel trip over a player on his own team before.
3rd down and a yard.
I'm going to look for the fullback on this play.
Perry, he's got the 1st down and got into a crease down to the North Carolina 40-yard line. I think the strength of Oklahoma's offense is they can either grind it out like this, 5-6 yards at a shot, or they break one for 50.
Well, they spread you out so badly, Mike, but here you've got to take a chance. You've got to risk it, and you've got to go. It's a 53 defense, and you've got to go for that fullback. See, the tackle, number 97, Cecil Gray, doesn't get down low enough. He gets pushed back, and that doesn't give the linebacker a chance to get up in there.
7:46 to go in a rapidly moving first quarter. We have no score at Chapel Hill. He's going to have to eat this one. Carrick Cunningham, number 98, a freshman out of Peachtree City, Georgia, came over and made him cut it back where Dwight Hollier could make the tackle. Cunningham, they told us, just hoped to play last week. Instead, he ended up playing 3 quarters because of injuries. He called the defensive signals, so he was a little surprised against South Carolina.
Tough for a freshman, and South Carolina is an awful tough team to break in on with the passing of Todd Ellis. But they played pretty well. In fact, Mack Brown was saying, I'll get back to it after this play.
2nd and 6. Stafford, big hole right side to the 30, first down and more down to the 27, running over people. Skeet Baldwin, number 26, was in on the stop, and Stuffy Hewitt, number 28, also got in there.
Bob Latham, number 56, one of the fine centers in the Big 8. Watch him come out. He shouldn't get that loose. He's cutting off the secondary play, and then you've got straight power off the right side. And that's the thing that Oklahoma will do to you. They'll stretch out, and then they'll run right at you, tire you out. Long drives, classic from Oklahoma. They're doing it against Carolina now.
North Carolina changing players a lot. Samakas is in there at a nose tackle. A pitch to Stafford. Got blockers in front of him. Great cutback. 10-yard line. 5. Pushed out of bounds at the 4-yard line. 1st and goal, Sooners.
There's Jamel. He's going to take a step back. Watch him take a step back right after the snap of the ball, and now he's freezing everybody. See the off linebacker, number 98, and now the pitch. People are down on the ground for Carolina. You can't have that. And at a great speed. These guys aren't true tailbacks. They're just speed guys like wide receivers. When they get in the secondary, they can go towards the goal line in a hurry. Anthony Stafford. Not big, but a good one.
Gain of 24. 1st and goal, Oklahoma. Perry, the fullback, just shy of the goal line. Stuffy Hewitt, number 28, was the man between him and the end zone. Sellout crowd at beautiful Kenan Stadium in Chapel Hill, hoping for a defensive stand like they had the first time. Mike Gaddis, number 32, is in the ball game. Perry dives. Touchdown, Oklahoma.
It's just too much. You take the fullback, he's a big guy. Perry, 223 pounds. They do a nice job of slowing it down, but when you only have a foot to go, there's not much you can do. A classic, as I said, Oklahoma drive, a little bit wide, a little bit up the middle. They'll stretch out, and they've got all the talent in the world.
R.D. Lasher, number 13, is on to try the point after. And Lasher true on the point with 5:57 to go, 1st quarter. It's Oklahoma 7, North Carolina nothing. Our drive after a turnover, the interception from Deems May, and Oklahoma has a 7-0 lead. 5:57 to go, 1st quarter. Todd Thompson standing by to kick it off. Deep to receive Randy Marriott and Eric Blunt, 23 and 35 respectively.
Game, Mike, where you say your defense, and they don't ask for help much, but they say, please hold the ball a few downs. Let us rest and get back in the game.
High but short kick. Marriott at the 8-yard line. Good wedge in front of him, and Marriott across the 25 to about the 29-yard line. A 19-yard kickoff return. 5:51 to go, 1st quarter. We'll be back to Chapel Hill in a moment. Martin in the slot left. Deems May on the option and then throws downfield complete to the 45-yard line. Green, number 25, made the grab for a 17-yard gain.
Green has had a hamstring pull. Now the object of this play is a freeze option with a play action with a pass. What they're trying to do is hold the linebackers, and they did that. They're playing the option. He throws it underneath. There's no coverage. Kurt Green makes the catch, and now that's what Carolina needs to do. On 1st down, it's your best chance to make that work.
He's a walk-on, just got a scholarship, and Deems May looks at the defense, didn't like the play he had called against it, and wants a timeout. Let's get down to the sideline and Chris Fowler.
Mike, one of the stories we're following, the health of Jamelle Holloway's knee after 2 series. He gave me the thumbs-up sign. He says it feels okay. Of course, it hasn't really been tested too much. However, some bad news. Bob Latham, the Sooners center, has sprained a ligament in his left knee. He was helped off the field. Trainers don't think he'll be back.
That is a tough break for Oklahoma, Chris, because he is a standout all-conference performer. And we saw in one of those replays earlier, Kevin, that he was downfield throwing a couple of great blocks. There's Jamelle on the sideline.
Giant general manager George Young is here. And one of the reasons he is here is to take a look at the centers, Garnica and Latham, for both teams. And that is a blow. You can imagine. I mean, if the Giants general manager is here to watch this guy and he gets hurt, that's a tough break.
Exactly.
Valuable performance.
Last scoring drive for Oklahoma, 71 yards. It was all on the ground. No surprise there. And Perry finished it off with a 1-yard run. They consumed a lot of time, 3 minutes and 56 seconds off the clock. And as you mentioned earlier, Kevin, it's more than just the yards and the points. It keeps the defense out there so long, and they run sideline to sideline so much you really get dogged.
One of the really insidious things about the option is the fact that they will run you to death.
First and 10, Carolina from its own 45. Teams made back to throw for May. Plenty of time over the middle and incomplete. Off the hands of Kennard Martin, who came out of the backfield. And he took a shot after he got his hands on the football.
Well, they're going after those 2 inside linebackers for Oklahoma. They've got the motion man, 29 Martin. They got him running around there in the secondary, and what they're trying to do here is freeze those linebackers and then give them some responsibility that maybe they can't handle. As you can see, he's open, but the ball is...
You need to make the most of them. 2nd and 10. Torrin Dorn back in the ball game in motion. Comes the blitz, and it's a quarterback draw against the blitz. To the Oklahoma 43, Deems May, a 12-yard run, and boy, they caught him that time. Kevin Thompson had to make the stop.
Well, what a job by Thompson. But again, the inside linebackers, we just talked about it. You got a blitz on the right side, and now a lot of power coming out to block these guys. May trying to run, but watch Thompson. Slips the block and gets in underneath and makes that tackle. That's a good play, and that would have saved another 25 yards.
Second time North Carolina has been in Oklahoma territory. The 40 down to about the 39. Frank Blevins, one of those inside linebackers, made the stop. But Dorn looking for running room, and there wasn't much there.
He did a pretty good job, I thought, for what he got. Blevins would not be starting if it was not for the foot injury of Richard Dillon, who would have been the starter for Oklahoma. They've had some problems and lost some people in the offense and the defense so far this year.
Kennard Martin, number 29, back in the ballgame on 2nd and 6. Lost the starting corner to Academics. Dante Williams starting nose guard. Lost to a broken ball. May had that one tipped.
Pass was intended for number 25.
Looked like it was intended for Kurt Green, who was down around the 20-yard line. Randy Marriott, number 23, was also in the vicinity, so it brings up a 3rd and 6.
Big Adrian Cooper, 6'6", 250, just a youngster, a sophomore. Yeah, make no mistake about it. The Oklahoma team has plenty of talent. The question is, they need to mature. When will they mature? Hopefully, for North Carolina is thinking, oh, I hope not this afternoon. Let's go!
3rd and 6, 4:14 to go, first quarter. May with good time and throws this one. Looked like his arm may have been hit just as he unloaded that one, or it was tipped at the line of scrimmage. Adrian Cooper was putting the pressure on it.
Well, the freshman, I think the freshman quarterback, of course, remember this kid's a redshirt freshman, and it's only his 2nd game. Cooper again is going to be coming. And you're right, Mike. He did get him, and he hit his arm, and the ball goes short. They had a problem last week with 3rd down conversion.
Scott McAllister to punt.
Gary Parks is deep for the Sooners.
Floats it high, trying to get it out of bounds, and does, but just inside the 20, if at all. And now they mark it just at the 20-yard line. So Oklahoma will start from there after a 19-yard punt. 4:02 to go in the quarter. 7-0 Sooners. Offense 1st and 10. At their own 20, Charles Thompson is in the quarterback for Jamelle Holloway, and the entire second team backfield is in there. Look out for Gaddis, number 32. This is the fullback, Anderson. Gets a couple. Roy Barker made the tackle. Jamel on the sideline. He is not hurt. It's just that Charles Thompson has earned a lot more playing time. Switzer himself said Jamel Holloway was the best wishbone quarterback he ever saw, and Charles Thompson is pushing him for his job. How's that?
Incredible. And there's 3 other guys that are waiting to play that are probably going to be as good. High mortality rate among option quarterbacks. You need to get Thompson some playing time. That's why he's in there.
The new center is Mike Wise, number 65 on 2nd and 7. Holloway naked reverse out there one-on-one. Look at that. Got a block to the 40, forced out of bounds at the 42-yard line. I mean, Thompson on the option. Boy, just a great one-on-one move at the corner. Picked up 16.
You don't want to be one-on-one on these guys. I think it's John Reed, number 90 on the outside. It's a naked reverse. That's Reed. It's covered, and then it's uncovered. And there goes Thompson. Speed is the problem for Carolina. They just cannot run with these guys. And there's a graphic illustration of why. Every one of the guys in the backfield can fly.
Well, a 221-pound outside linebacker against somebody who's 175 pounds and can sprint is not fair, but that's the way it turned out. Thompson on the key. Loose ball, pitched it late, and it goes out of bounds. Boy, that's a play that can be broken for 50, 60 yards when the quarterback gets by that first containment and then holds it and pitches it late.
They stretch you horizontally. 36, Eric Bross, he's a wide receiver. But you know what they say at Oklahoma? The first thing a wide receiver does is block. And you can't leave your feet or lose your feet defensively. What a great block inside there. And then Thompson throwing the ball out of bounds. You got to hold on to the ball, too.
2nd down, 3 yards to go. Thompson in the Oklahoma quarterback. Gives it to the fullback Anderson. He's got a gaping hole up the middle down to the North Carolina 41-yard line. And they are really running over people. That time, Victor Bullock was nailed as he made the stop. A 14-yard gain for Rodney Anderson.
Well, the thing about this thing that makes it so tough is you've got to be responsible for just about anything. There's just no defense there. And Anderson, who got 100 yards in the last 3 games last year, 100 yards each, is off and running early here. Good player.
Here's the action again. Fumble! And Oklahoma got it back. And that was a break for the Sooners. The player laying on the ground as Willie Joe Walker came in and caused the fumble. It dropped right in the lap of Anthony Phillips, the right guard. 3 times all Big 8.
Willie Joe Walker says, Willie Joe Walker, number 93, they say he doesn't have much technique, he just makes plays. And he did right there. He gets inside Phillips, and Phillips is the one that makes the recovery. A lucky bounce for the Sooners. You're right. A great play by Willie Joe Walker. Maybe that's the type of guy you forget technique.
Yeah, that's right.
Run around him.
Who needs technique if you can go out and pace somebody? 2nd and 13. Thompson to Gaddis. Speed and power. Look out. 20, 15. Belted out of bounds by Causey as he got to the 11-yard line. A gain of 33.
Just a nice job here by Carolina. There's a nice job on the option. The inside backers here, they're not going anywhere, but they really don't need to. Here's the block right here on the low side here. On the low side of your screen is the one that makes it. The pitch, nobody out there for Gaddis, and he's off and running. This guy's a great back, but he didn't need to be on this play. He was just off and running.
Medical redshirt last year, and Barry Switzer thinks he is going to be the next great Oklahoma running back. Anderson, the fullback, stacked up by Antonio Goss as he got inside the 10.
The thing about the option, Mike, is that they have to read the defense on the fly, and Oklahoma does such a great job of picking people off on the corner.
This is what Oklahoma has done in the first quarter a year ago, and they seem to do that just about every year. They put you in a hole, and it's very tough to get out. 2nd and 8. Mitchell is the trail man. Thompson keeps. Touchdown, Sooner. Charles Thompson made it look easy. And you had a situation there where it was 2-on-1. The defensive back was hung out to dry.
There was nobody there. Victor Bullock was blocked. John Reed is the inside backer, or the outside backer, number 90. He never gets anywhere. And now you'll watch. Now watch how open this thing is. Watch number 15, Bullock. He's a defensive back. He's blocked. You got a guy on the corner making 2 blocks there. There's just nothing there defensively.
Lasher is on for the point after. Perfect again.
Lasher's point after is good.
And Charles Thompson's 8-yard touchdown run has given Oklahoma a 14-0 lead. Hope you'll be with us. And North Carolina needs something good to happen to it right now. Todd Thompson kicking off. Better kick this time. Marriott from the 5. Got speed. Marriott to the 41-yard line. The last man there, Jerry Parks, made the tackle. A 36-yard kickoff return. Well, they needed something good, and they got it.
And they got close last time, Mike. They were very close. So watch 23. The coverage from Oklahoma never did look right. The wedge out in front, there was a bubble right from the start. Marriott does a good job picking his way through. And if not for Jerry Parks riding him down on the 42-yard line, he was gone.
Oklahoma has given up a little bit of yardage, but no points to North Carolina in the first half. May back to throw over the middle. That one's complete to the 48-yard line. Torrin Dorn coming out of the backfield. He had to rifle that one in there. Pretty good coverage. Scoring drive that time for Oklahoma, 80 yards. The first one went 71, and Thompson finished it off on an 8-yard option.
That's the same play they ran on the first down of the series last time, and they've run it 3 times so far. But Martin dropped the ball one time. You're going to see that again.
North Carolina's rushed for only 31 yards in the first quarter. Oklahoma 149 yards. Deans May threw into double coverage that time. Blunt was out there, covered by Parks and Cooper. And Deems May takes that, almost that wind-up step before he unloads the ball.
He's very, very tentative, and he looks like he's made up his mind before he even gets the ball from center. I could see his head from here on the last play, and then that other play he threw into double coverage, Mike, and he was going to throw it there no matter what.
3rd and 5. Fake the swing pass, then floats the screen back to Torrin Dorn. And his blockers didn't give him anything out there. 2 of them missed blocks, and Dorn has stopped shy of the first down. Ken McMitchell, the safety, made the stop. Catch up to date on some scores, and Stanford in the midst of what would be a major upset over Southern Cal. Here is a major upset. Rutgers knocks off 15th ranked Michigan State. Ohio State, we'll see them next week against Pittsburgh, beating Syracuse 20-6. That's the end of the first quarter here in Chapel Hill. And it's Oklahoma 14, North Carolina double block. Blocks and gets it back to the 20-yard line. 9-yard return after a 39-yard kick. And Oklahoma will get the football back at their own 20. Carrick and Cunningham down on special teams to make the catch. Storyline Chapel Hill. It has been all Oklahoma and on the ground. 149 yards to 31. And they have really mixed it up. As you see, 6 backs with more than 15 yards rushing. First touchdown coming off the North Carolina intercepted pass. Jamel Holloway back in there. Stafford and Stell, the halfbacks, and the fullback is Leon Perry, number 2. Perry. And Perry didn't go anywhere that time. Excellent tackle by Dennis Tripp, the nose guard. He was a linebacker. They'd like him to weigh a little more to play nose guard. He's only 255. Some other scores for you. Tulsa leading Arkansas, 4th quarter. Wyoming, they've got a good ball club over Louisville at the half, 24-0. Hawaii, after what they did last week, no surprise here over Colorado State. Second down, 8 yards to go for Oklahoma. If you just joined us, the Sooners have had 2 long drives for touchdowns. Give it to Perry again, and Perry just leans into the line up to about the 26. Give him about 4, and Holloway appeared to change that play at the line of scrimmage.
Well, what they want to do is they want to get the defense overshifted it, and they want to count people and get to where they feel they have the biggest success, where they're running out of the short side of an unbalanced line with the fullback, and they're picking up tough yards. Carolina is there. Now 3rd It's a tough down against Oklahoma. You got 3rd and 5. They could give it to anyone. This is unusually against a team that's a guaranteed pass play. No way against Oklahoma. They could go right up the middle with the fullback.
3rd and 5. Oklahoma has yet to throw a pass, and we may be here a while before they do. Stafford trying to go outside, and they ran him down. Bulatich showing some speed against Stafford, caught him at the corner and stopped him shy of the first down.
Yeah, but the key
no, he didn't. I'm sorry. Excuse me. He did get the first down.
Yeah, the key to the thing, Mike, is that the kid, he ran him down, but Stafford outran him. And that's what they do to you. They run power off tackle. Stafford turns it outside, 5'7", 184 pounds, and he outruns the poor kid to the corner. And that's what I said in the open about speed. Carolina cannot run with these guys.
Can anybody?
No. Miami.
Stafford, 42 yards on 4 carries. Still. Flattened at the 35. Stafford and Stell, the halfbacks. That was Stafford. Bernard Timmons made the tackle.
That's another great job by the Carolina defense in terms of being in the right place. They strung the thing out, but then he turns it upfield. And see, you imagine if this was Canadian football on a Canadian field, it's 10 yards wider or whatever it is, 7 yards wider. If these guys had that much more room to run, you'd never catch him.
92 is Roy Barker, a freshman from Village of Islandia, New York. A little shaken up on that last play. Kevin, when you mentioned counting players, what are they doing? It's 11 players, so you got 6 on one side and 5 on the other?
Yeah, well, normally, or else if you're playing an even defense, they would like to have an advantage in terms of blocking against the weak side of your defense, but they'll run that way too. What they like to do is create a mismatch, and of course that's what Oklahoma does so well.
Our Thursday night football action kicks off this Thursday with East Tennessee State against Western Carolina. One of the great stories in college football is taking place at Western Carolina, where head coach Bobby Waters is showing everybody the courage that we'd all like to have. He's in his 20th coaching season. Tim Brando and Stan White will bring you all the action. That's at 8 o'clock Thursday night. Barker came off under his own power at 2nd and 7, Oklahoma.
Barker's one of the great young players. They feel he has tremendous potential, and they expect him to be a star here in a few years.
12 and a half minutes to go, second quarter, 14-0 Sooners. Holloway pitches it to Stell. Nice block by Stafford. Knocked out of bounds as he got to the 42. Very close to another first down. Stuffy Hewitt made the tackle. And Kevin, you're right. It even looks like when North Carolina is making the excellent defensive play, you look up and they've gained 8 yards.
That again, that was, as you say, that was a real good option defense, but they're just so quick. They just gallop, and as soon as they turn that shoulder upfield just a little bit, they've got yards. Now you got 3rd and short again. You got to go with the fullback. Make sure you stop the fullback, and then maybe you'll get a bad pitch or something.
Oklahoma has not turned the ball over, and that's something Mack Brown said he had to have out of his club. Holloway on the keeper. He's got the first down as he reached the 44. Of course, the other thing about North Carolina right now, Mack Brown says Oklahoma's not only faster, they're stronger. And North Carolina's really upgraded its weight program this year under Mack Brown. They're trying to get stronger.
It takes a while, but you know, when you have a guy like Dennis Tripp, 56, playing middle guard, as you said earlier, he was a linebacker defensive end type, and you put him in a middle guard, he needs that great upper body strength. He's just not big enough.
1st and 10 Sooners, and Holloway has a question about the play and wants a timeout to talk to Barry Switzer. 11:54 to go in the half. It's still Oklahoma 14 and North Carolina nothing.
If you're looking for the only sports car in the world that gives you the superior traction of front-wheel drive, a competition suspension, and an unbeatable 770 protection plan, then look no further. It's gotta be the intercooled, turbocharged Dodge Daytona Shelby Z.
Now save up to $14.40 with cash back and package discounts on selected Dodge cars in stock.
For all those striving to get to the top, this is a reminder of how much fun it is to get to the bottom.
1 calorie, just for the taste of it.
Bottoms up.
Diet Coke.
Also available in caffeine-free, both with 100% NutraSweet.
You give your all to all you do. Demand it all from your shampoo. Wash and go Pert Plus.
You've got no time for fussy routines, no patience for less than the best. So for your hair, there's only one way to go. Pert Plus puts effective shampoo, full-strength conditioner, fantastic...
And it does.
Well, it was about time. They had good field position. First down, they're in control of the game. That's when they like to throw at Oklahoma. Very tough to stop, although the coverage is pretty good. Frost makes a tremendous catch. Watch him lean into the defensive player who reaches over. There's the interference and makes a great catch. And it was Frost that made that tremendous block. I guess if you make a good block, they let you catch one for every block you make here at Oklahoma.
Well, Larry Whiteside from Morganton, North Carolina, was on the coverage, but they burned him for 38 yards. Ricky Shaw, number 96, made the tackle for North Carolina.
Jamel, the one thing he's always done that's been so great is he handles the ball so well. He fakes to Perry and now turn it upfield. And I have to say, watching him in the early going, though, that's not Jamel Holloway of last year. He seems a little bit sluggish on the cuts. You can tell he's wearing a big knee brace. He just doesn't seem to have the quickness.
2nd and 2. Perry got the first down at the 5, and it will be 1st and goal, Oklahoma.
Move it up, fellas. Move it up.
And the advantage that Holloway always had, even as a freshman, and Troy Aikman got hurt when he was with Oklahoma, was he's a very tough runner. He reads very well, but he was a tough guy. He could change direction very quick. Thompson's different. He's a sleeker, smoother type of runner. He's faster than Holloway. But Holloway, to me, was always the perfect quarterback for this system.
1st and goal. Holloway on the key. They've got room at the corner. And then Carolina converges and stops for a gain of 1. Stuffy Hewitt, number 28, chased down Holloway. Carolina showed some speed that time. It looked like they were outmanned at the corner.
I want you to watch Holloway right at the end of this play. All right, you have immediately they're forcing Holloway. He sidesteps that. And now watch him right at the end of this play. He takes a little false step. Looks like he slips. I thought he should have pitched this ball. See that? You see like he didn't quite make the cut there. And he never did pitch the ball. Seemed to me he should have given it up early. Jamel having a little bit of a problem. He's not outrunning anybody.
Anderson, the fullback. Even though Vuletich came up in a hurry, and Dwight Hollier also hit him, he slipped forward for a couple of yards. Anderson, a senior, 6'1", 212. He filled in beautifully when Lydell Carr was hurt a year ago. They spotted inside the 2, 3rd and goal. Carolina fans making some noise.
Very, very tough here, Mike. Tough to stop a team like this on the goal line.
Now this time Anderson got to the 1, and Holloway really took a shot on the play.
Millen, Don Millen. He says he's a hard hitter. Number 30 came in and just buried Holloway. They were going to make sure he wasn't going to get wide on that play. Watch the right side of your screen. Number 30 in Carolina blue. He's giving the ball up, but now watch. Millen was the man who was forcing on the last play, and he's forcing on this play. You got to shut off the fullback first. Problem with this offense is it's a goal line offense up and down the field.
Just inside the 1, 4th and goal. Stafford, touchdown Sooners. First time Oklahoma had the football, they were stopped. The last 3 times, they have had long drives, all resulting in touchdowns.
Tar Heels do a good job here, Mike, making him jump a long way. There's nobody to catch him. Look where he takes off from, the 3-yard line. There just wasn't anybody there when he got near the goal line, so he fell in. Stafford, 5'7", still unbelievable. A classic wishbone back. Very fast, not big.
R.D. Lasher on for his 3rd conversion. And he's got it. 21-0 Oklahoma over North Carolina. Barry Switzer going for his 149th win in 16 years. Todd Thompson, number 91, to kick it away. Marriott and Blunt, 23-35. And two good kickoff returns. Marriott from the 6. Got a great block. Number 3 for Oklahoma, John Green, went up about 5 feet and then landed flat on his back. Last scoring drive, 79 yards. So the drives have been 71, 80, and 79. This one took 6:21 off the clock. At least if you're losing to Oklahoma, it takes some time most of the time.
What a great thought that is.
Not much consolation, is it? Deems May gives it off to Martin. Martin stuffed as he got to the line of scrimmage. Curtis Williams out of Pine Bluff, Arkansas, starting tackle a year ago, made the stop that time. He's number 93.
One of the problems that Carolina had last week against South Carolina was because of South Carolina's defense, which they like to play a lot of man and put 8 guys up front, they couldn't run their offense. Believe it or not, they have a better chance to run their offense today against Oklahoma than they did last week.
2nd and 9. Made a throw. 4-man rush. Rifles this one over the middle and too high, intended for Blunt. Garl was on coverage along with Thompson.
Gonna have a holding call on this one, Mike.
Check out the penalty for you. Thrown in the North Carolina backfield, and the Sooners are applauding. And it is a hold. Tough situation here for North Carolina and Mack Brown. He's in his first year. He doesn't have, of course, the talent that he wants here, the level of talent. And to come out and have to play a highly regarded South Carolina team and then Oklahoma back-to-back, tough way to start your first year.
Yeah, we got to have, the thing is you got to have some speed to compete with this team, and he doesn't feel that he has the speed to compete with most teams, much less Oklahoma. So you're right. What can you do? We got Darrell Hamilton and James Good having some fun over here. And, oh, wait a second here.
Good got in the first shot. A nice forearm to the chin, and it was just returned by Hamilton, and that will cost North Carolina half the distance to the goal.
That's a tough call there. That's got to be an offsetting penalty.
Now, so often they only saw the second. Screen to Martin. No block. Nice job by Scott Garl, who got away from his blocker and forced him to the sideline. Backus ran him out of bounds.
One of the guys that I think that Oklahoma's depending on to be a superstar. We just saw him a moment ago. Here he is again. Good. Just flips the block off. But again, that's what they're supposed to do. They're letting him come in because they want to dump the ball over his head. Of course, Deems may ask him to just kind of block him a little harder next time if you're going to let him come in.
Carolina coaches want a timeout, and they get it on 3rd and 23. Pretty good time, I think, for Deems May to say, yeah, let's have a timeout and talk about this. Let's go down to the sideline and Chris Fowler. Chris?
Like him in a special section here in the end zone reserved for high school coaches in North Carolina. It's one of the things Mack Brown is trying to do to rebuild recruiting ties in the state. These coaches are telling me that previous Carolina coach Dick Crum did not think much of the quality of football in North Carolina, and he didn't do very good recruiting in the state for years. The best players in the state have gone to Clemson or schools in the Southeastern Conference. He's trying to repair that, and it looks like the public relations job is working. It doesn't help him today, though, Mike.
Thank you, Chris. Jonathan Hall has come into the ball game, a junior out of Vienna, Virginia. 1986, he went down with a knee injury. 1987, he was out with shoulder surgery. He has had 3 operations on that shoulder. And Jonathan Hall, who was an extremely promising quarterback from high school until he played here at North Carolina, has really had a problem with that shoulder, and he's not all the way back yet.
No, he's not, Mike. Madison High School in Vienna is a tremendous high school career. I saw Deems May was holding his arm as he came off the field. He was hanging a little low. Looked like he had got hit in the shoulder or something.
We were watching Jonathan Hall in warm-ups. His shoulder is not back yet.
I don't think they're going to throw here anyway. I'll be looking screen and draw here.
3rd and 22. Hall, quarterback draw. Got some blockers in front of him. And got it out to the 20-yard line, giving him a little room to operate. Ken McMitchell, the safety, and Kurt Casper, number 46, made the stop.
Chris Fowler was talking about the quality of high school football in North Carolina. And I think it's interesting that the Jeff Dunn of Alabama, quarterback, Chris Ferguson of Florida State, and Chip Ferguson of Florida State, Todd Ellis of South Carolina, all from North Carolina.
Thompson says a lot about the quality of quarterbacking.
He certainly does.
Thompson from his 37. Oh, that was very, very close. There is a flag down back at the 30-yard line. 44-yard kick. Bullitich made the tackle after a 7-yard return.
He was looking to pitch that ball. He was, can you imagine? That's what you don't want to option quarterback. He was looking for somebody to throw it to.
And it's going to be a clip against Oklahoma. We'll check on the penalty and what it does for the situation when we come back. It's timeout, 21-0, Oklahoma. Carolina fan, it has not gone well so far. 21-0 first half. Oklahoma now has its best field position at their own 32. Gaddis. Nice cutback. Looked like he would be hit for a loss and gained 4 yards as he got out to his own 36-yard line. Bernard Timmons made the tackle. Charles Thompson is back in there. That's Deems May. They've got ice on that right shoulder, and he got banged up on this pass.
Well, now you're going to take a look at that shoulder as it was when he got hurt. Good puts his helmet right on the back shoulder blade and puts him into the ground. Folks, I can tell you, that hurts. And that could be any type of an injury. We'll hope it's just a bruise.
Oklahoma so far has rushed for an average of 5.8 yards a carry. That might bring the average down just a little bit as Anderson carried up the middle. Keep you up to date on some other scores around the country. Already been a couple of surprises. There's one, Stanford over Southern Cal. That is in the 4th quarter. Arkansas came back to beat Tulsa. California leading the University of the Pacific. Oregon over Long Beach State. That's a 3rd quarter score. 3rd and 3 for Oklahoma. Mitchell. Not this time. And for only the 2nd time in this ballgame, North Carolina has stopped Oklahoma. Ricky Shaw and Chris Jacobs made the tackle for the Heels.
What Oklahoma wants to do is call the play at the last minute. What Carolina wants to do is shift at the last minute. You see them move, and now they're going to run this thing right into the strength of the defense. Watch the defense come up and make the play. That's what Carolina wants to do, stem, and it worked that time.
Todd Thompson to punt. Eric Blunt is deep to receive his own 15. There's a flag down, low line drive kick. And he let it go. Big mistake by Eric Blunt, who let the ball go, and it bounced all the way to the 5 for a 55-yard kick. Now we'll check the flag for you. And Blunt knew he made the mistake.
Against a team like that's the type of pressure Oklahoma puts on you. It's going to be procedure against the Sooners, and it's a good thing for Blunt because he'd really catch it. A punt return.
Cheers.
Yeah, you got to catch that thing against Oklahoma. You need every yard you can get.
Jerry Switzer discussing the penalty on the sideline. His record is just amazing. 148 wins, 26 losses, and 4 ties. This is his 16th year. He passed Bud Wilkinson. And for many people, Bud Wilkinson, the best coach that ever coached college football.
Well, certainly, I know Bud. I worked with him, and a tremendous guy and a great record that probably will never be broken, his streak. But this guy just keeps doing it year in and year out. We were on a radio show the other night, and a fellow asked us about Oklahoma. He seemed to think that people rooted against Oklahoma. I think people back in Oklahoma have to realize that with a program as great as this, everybody's rooting for a good game most of the time. It's not that you're rooting against Oklahoma. It's really, you should be proud of that program that everybody does kind of pull for the underdog.
Blunt will get another crack at it. Thompson back to kick. Trying to put a little heat on it. Once again, a short kick, and this one will take a North Carolina bounce. may have touched a North Carolina player, or at least came very, very close to it. Oklahoma will down it at the 42, only a 24-yard kick. And what a difference a 5-yard penalty makes. Let's go to Chris Fowler.
Mike, Deems May, the Carolina quarterback, is not coming back in. You see Hall going back in. May suffering a right shoulder bruise. Had massaged it with ice. He tried to warm up, but his face was grimacing every time he threw the ball. Looks to be in a great deal of pain when he unloads the ball, Mike.
Well, now North Carolina has 2 quarterbacks with bad shoulders. Oh, those 3 surgeries. Not a threat to throw the ball very far or very strong. Carries on the option this time, gets up to the 49. But the kid has a lot of courage. He is in there and he wants to play regardless. James Good brought him down on that carry.
I think you saw the difference right. He's a little quicker, isn't he? He's quicker than May. He knows the game. The big difference, the big problem they have is not his shoulder, although it is weaker. He hasn't played football in a year and a half, and they're very, very concerned. They asked him if he wanted to go in against South Carolina last week. He declined at the end of the game. He went in. He didn't decline. He went in.
2nd and 4. Thompson to the Oklahoma 42. Well, that's the first time they've had a nice hole to run through up the middle.
They just ran the option successfully. Yeah. You know, it is a correlation there. And Hall looks a little quicker. Now, if I did my homework for Oklahoma, and I know the difference between the 2 quarterbacks and the injury to Hall, I'd be looking for circle patterns over the middle in passing situations. He will probably not attempt to throw it to the sideline, so if he's looking, it'll be short over the middle.
He just doesn't have the arm strength to throw it that far with something on it. Dorn with that little quick motion step. They come back to the short side. Ball with the keeper. Dragged down from behind as he got to the 39. Excellent play by Casper, the right inside linebacker. Just got a hold of the jersey, and you got to have pretty strong hands to make that play.
Yes, you do. Now, one thing about running wide against Oklahoma, although Carolina's given them a little taste of their own medicine here, it appears that Hall has the speed to get outside where Deems May didn't. You can't outrun this team. You can't run a sweep. You've got to freeze those inside people with the option fake and then go for it.
Didn't look like much, but gained 4 yards. 2nd and 6, Carolina. Thompson, the fullback again. This time he only gets about 1, and James Good, number 39, made the stop again. He's playing with a broken bone in his wrist. 87, he was out with a knee injury. As we told you earlier, this is an entirely new defense as far as starting assignments for Oklahoma. There's Deems May with the jersey and the pads back on.
All right, Mike, here you got to be careful for that circle pattern, tight end, tailback, and the quarterback draw, which has worked twice already.
Marriott and Rankin, the wide receivers, right, Blunt to the left. And they'll blow that one dead for illegal motion. That's going to cost North Carolina 5 yards. And one of the tackles moved early.
Left tackle Darrell Hamilton, number 71, trying to get a start. Now, he was going to pull across on the option. Excuse me, the inside guy was going to pull across on the option. He's trying to seal Good, who's been a damaging player so far, and Good's got him thinking about it.
So that'll bring up a 3rd and 10. We only have 2:37 and counting in the first half. That's the only battle Oklahoma isn't winning. They've had 1 more penalty.
All right, they like to throw to the tailback. They like to throw to the tailback here in the tight end. Although they don't have a tight end, they've got wide outs.
3rd and 10. Good from behind. And he almost got the big sack intended for Freddie Rankin, but he dove and couldn't make the catch. And it looked like Hall had a lot of mustard on that one.
Well, that was that little circle pattern, Mike. I mean, that was the pattern we talked about. He's trying to throw it short over the middle, but watch Good. So quick around, and Hall, I don't think Hall knows how lucky he was.
McAllister is on to punt on 4th and 10 from the 43. Corey Parks deep to receive. Fakes the fair catch, going to let it go. Takes a Carolina bounce. All the way to the 4. 38-yard kick, and well done for Scott McAllister. Coming up at halftime, we'll be going back to our studios. Of course, Tim Brando and Beano Cook. Scores and highlights.
By 8, knocking on the door. 4th down. The pitch to Scott Whitehouse. He's stopped by Walter Briggs. And the Rainbows continue to roll, apparently on their way to a victory after that upset last week of Iowa. Let's get back to Chapel Hill.
Get it there.
Mac Brown was telling us he kicks him in practice like nothing, but he got out there in South Carolina and just shanked the thing.
Well, he's another freshman. 51 yards. Got a chance. And it's wide.
It's wide to the left.
And with 4 seconds left, Oklahoma gets the ball back.
Rankin Green's attempt for the field goal was for 50.
Well, 21-0 may not sound a whole lot different than 21-3, but I think it would have made a major difference in attitude.
Yeah, but I also think that Carolina has shown a little life here, offensively and defensively in the second quarter. And again, you have to understand that this offense for Oklahoma led the nation in 3 top categories last year and is pretty much intact with great personnel. Carolina piecing it together, getting used to a new coach. Not really a bad effort.
4 seconds left. Holloway in there at quarterback. Stafford races over the 40 to the 45-yard line. That will end the first half here in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. The Tar Heels unable to do much on offense and trail the ground. And the one pass that Oklahoma threw was complete for 38 yards. They nearly have as many passing yards as North Carolina does in 12 attempts. And the total yards in rushing, of course, way out of balance.
Time of possession is key, too. You can never match somebody offensively when they eat up that much time. I'd like to see Jonathan Hall a little bit more in the second half. I like the way he was running the ball, ran the option real well.
Marriott 23 and Blunt 35. Deep to receive the kicker, Todd Thompson. Got very high kicks today. And that's about the deepest. Marriott. Still on his feet. Well, one more step, and he had a chance to break that for a long, long way. Ike Lewis made the tackle. That's what North Carolina did with the football in the first half. They had great field position, and interception stopped the first drive. Then they had to punt. The next 4 times they had the football, and finally, the last drive of the half, they had a chance for a missed field goal. But look how many times they were in Oklahoma territory. Hall starting the second half. Give it to the fullback, Thompson, and Thompson stopped the line of scrimmage. Let's go to the sideline and Chris Fowler.
Just spoke with Carolina coach Mac Brown. He said at halftime his players were shocked by the Oklahoma speed. They were not prepared for that. You can't simulate that with the scout team. On offense, he told me he's got a dilemma. He's got 2 quarterbacks who are not completely healthy, yet one of them is going to have to figure out a way to throw the ball, get something happening on offense, and somehow get back in this game.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. It's 2nd and 9. North Carolina with the ball at its own 21. Thompson and Dorn, the running backs behind Jonathan Hall. Hall, nice cut. Across the 30 to the 31 first down. Kevin, he's got excellent instincts on that. He doesn't look like he has all the blazing speed, but he knows what he's doing.
That's the key word. You're right, Mike. It's instinct. Watch him cut it inside here. This is the difference in the Carolina offense. See, overplayed on the corner. Hall cuts it up inside, and then he's tough enough to run up. Now, even though he's missed football for a year and a half, that'll affect his passing game, but instinctively, he knows where to run the ball.
Kurt Casper made that last tackle. Thompson. This is Benefield. Huge hole up the middle for Benefield. To midfield into Oklahoma territory at the 49. Ken McMitchell and Jerry Parks had to make the tackle after a 20-yard gain. Last week, Benefield had 2 carries for a yard.
When one thing works, something else will work. They go right to the fullback. Nobody there for Oklahoma. Now Benefield running loose in the secondary. Oklahoma pulling at the ball. McMitchell kind of wrestling him down, trying to get that ball away from him. And North Carolina's offense shows some life.
Thompson in at fullback. He's number 40. Thompson will get the carry. This time only about a yard, and Tony Woods, the nose guard, stopped it along with help from Adrian Cooper, defensive end from the left side.
Chris, was saying about how you can't simulate the speed of Oklahoma offensively. The scout team for North Carolina had a wide receiver playing quarterback to try and do that. They started calling him Jamel. They should have called him Charles, I think.
Either one. Second down and 8. All pitches it to Dorn. A bad pitch that time, and he couldn't handle it.
They ran it to the short side. They ran it into the boundary, thinking they would have some room. Oklahoma covered the thing completely, and Hall, not knowing what to do with it, just tossed it out of bounds.
They'll mark it at the Oklahoma 47. No gain on the play. 3rd and 8. Three wide receivers into the ball game. Ball batted up in the air. Cooper almost intercepted it after he blocked it. And he was right in the face of Jonathan Hall.
That's where Hall's inactivity is going to hurt him. His lack of recognition. He's limited in what he can do. Oklahoma coming with pressure on the corner. Good job by Adrian Cooper, 6'6", and you can't coach that. You're either 6'6" or you're not.
5th time they have been in Oklahoma territory. No points out of it. Pretty kick by McAllister. Thompson, a late fair catch signal at the 12. Let's go to Chris Fowler.
Mike, I'm standing with the greatest player in the 100-year history of North Carolina football, Charlie Choo Choo Justice. Did it all from 1946 through 49. Ran, caught, kicked. Charlie, I know, like a lot of alumni, you're excited about the rebirth of this program under Mack Brown.
I think Mack Brown's what we've needed here for many years, and we're looking forward to some great years ahead with Mack at the helm.
What is it about him that's going to help rebuild this program?
He's a salesman, and also he mingles well with the alumni. He gets along with people and can recruit, and that's the key to it.
Okay, thanks very much, Charlie. Runner for the Heisman in 1949, Mike.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Charlie Justice. Holloway on the option. Pitches it, Snell, stepped out of bounds at the 26-yard line.
Again, you see Holloway not really cutting up inside, taking that option all the way to the sideline, and that looked to me like it might have been a forward lateral, Mike. It was very close.
At the 26-yard line, a gain of 14.
14-yard gain.
1st and 10 at the Oklahoma 26.
Ball spotted at the 26. Holloway back to Stafford. That's just sheer speed. Fumble the football, and it goes out of bounds. Let's go back to the studio and Tim Brando for a score update.
All right, Mike. We
T to go 3rd quarter. 1st down Oklahoma. The 2nd time they fumbled. The 2nd time they have not turned it over. And Mack Brown said his team needed some turnover. Perry, the fullback, to midfield, lunges forward to the Carolina 48-yard line. This is what Oklahoma did when they had the ball in the first half. First time they had to punt. And then the next 3 drives, long, time-consuming, punishing drives, all resulted in touchdowns. Then Oklahoma's offense unable to do much the last 3 times they had the football.
Well, the last time there was time running out. The first time it was a penalty that stopped them.
That's right. Holloway with a little stutter step to Stafford. Stafford right down the sideline. They knocked him out of bounds at the 37-yard line, and it was Skeet Baldwin who fought off a block and got a piece of it.
Tar Heels are not in bad position here. Watch number 90, John Reed. He's not going to be in bad position. He just can't catch the guy. He's sitting right there. And as soon as they pitch the ball, he's gone. These guys just fly. I mean, the leverage that you get from speed, that's a great indication. A quicker player on the outside could have run him down for no gain.
Holloway on the key. Gets stuffed at the 31-yard line by Stuffy Hewitt.
Well, Holloway picked up some yardage there, Mike, but clearly not the same Jamel Holloway. He just does not have the flat-out speed. From way up here, he looks at. He's got a seam here. He just can't break it. There, years past, he'd have broke this thing. He'd have been quick enough to get up through that hole and be gone. Gained 6 yards. That could have been 20 yards.
Kevin, I think you're right. He does not have the. He still runs the offense beautifully, but doesn't seem to have the breakaway speed. There goes Holloway to the outside. And what a great decision not to pitch the ball at the last moment. He had Stafford behind him and held on to it just when he got crunched. There's a flag down, however. Vuletich and Goss made the tackle. And this one will go against Oklahoma. You got to be smart to run the option, too.
You never say, nobody will ever tell you Jamel isn't smart. Number 45, Goss, sitting back there. They've been trying to hide him. He's one of the better players on this team, plays off the block and gets some help. But again, in years past, I don't think you'd see Jamel take a hit like that. He's always been deceptive. And what happens when you have an injury is you just don't feel the same. Your body doesn't react the same. He's wearing a big brace on his left knee. And I think, as we said, I don't want to beat it, but I think it's evident that he does not have the same flexibility and quickness that he had. 170 yards, by the way, in this game last year.
That was his career best. He's only gained 18 so far today. He has lost one game as a starter in his career. One. Regular season game. Second along, Holloway back to throw under some pressure. Throws complete to Bross. Great move by Bross to get free and pick up another 10 yards to the North Carolina 18. Victor Bullock made the tackle. 23-yard gain, and this is an element of Oklahoma's offense. If they can do this when they have to, look out.
Well, this is what I always thought the difference between Thompson and Jamel was. That Jamel, I think, is an excellent passer. He'll take it from Dennis Tripp right there. And then, as you said, Goss, again, sitting, maneuverability, speed, defense sitting. Oklahoma able to use that excellent offensive and physical ability to get loose.
2 out of 2 in the passing department for Holloway. Last year completed only 43%. Perry straight up the middle. Very hard run inside the 15 to about the Carolina 13-yard line.
Well, Leon Perry runs a 4.5 40. And when I played a 4.5, I mean, you could levitate if you could run a 4.5. These guys, he's talking about a fullback. He used to be a halfback, but there were so many good halfbacks, they moved him to fullback.
He's 223, a junior out of Orlando. Holloway with Stafford behind him. Stafford gets the pitch. Nice tackle by Skeet Baldwin. Tackle by Skeet Baldwin. Pitch may have come a little early that time, and Baldwin had a chance to set himself to make the play.
Again, the positioning by Carolina has been good. They've been in position to make the plays, but Mack Brown told us that. He said they understand the option. We run an option ourselves. The problem is when you recognize it, you got to catch it, and they're not catching it.
Third and 3. Little reverse. Stafford is banged down in the backfield by Cecil Gray, number 97. First time we've seen that play, we may not see it again.
That's a counter. It's a great job by Cecil Gray watching the lineman and not watching the back. What they tell you is if you read the blocking, it'll take you to the back. You don't have to look at the backfield. Cecil never saw the back when he made the play.
Lasher will come on to try a field goal attempt. It's spotted just inside the 20, so it will be a 29-yard field goal attempt. Lasher 10 out of 15 last year. He's got tremendous leg strength. Thompson is the holder. Splits him. There is a flag down. North Carolina may have been offside. Somebody moved early.
Now that'll be a first down, Mike, if it is.
And look at Mack Brown.
Yeah, but I have a feeling about this. I believe in a game like this, you have got to try anything. And if you could, I think being offsides in a case like that is trying to block a field goal.
Sure.
So there's a positive side to that. I mean, of course, the other side of it is you're looking at the wishbone now on your own 10-yard line.
Offsides on the defense. First down.
That is the third penalty against North Carolina, certainly the most costly one so far in this ball game, and it makes it first and goal for Oklahoma at the 8.
And the other thing about this offense is you cannot shut it off. You cannot stall the ball because it's based on reads and weakness in the defense and alignment, and with all the personnel they've got, this thing just goes on and on.
slightly inside at Cecil Gray. 97 had him around the knees.
Cecil Gray and Carrick and Cunningham. Gain of 3 to the 5-yard line.
Second and goal. Sooners.
Second goal from the
4th ranked in the nation this week. Mike Gaddis is in as the right halfback. Gaddis is the trail man. Holloway. Touchdown, Oklahoma.
A 5-yard touchdown run on the option by quarterback Holloway. 7:54 left in the third quarter.
Well, at times it's just a sprint to the corner, and they're the guys who win the sprint.
And on the field for that long, here they come. They're running away from the boundary to the wide side of the field. There's just no way to catch him. Again, it's Reed trying to catch him. Speed, 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 and more speed, lateral speed. And remember, he's only playing half the game, Holloway. The defense in there the whole time.
You saw number 7, Dan Vuletich, out on the corner. Once again, he had 2 guys to cover. Lasher converts. And when Vuletich went for the pitch man, Jamel Holloway trotted into the end zone. And Oklahoma has posted a 28-0 lead over North Carolina. 7:54 to go in the third quarter from Chapel Hill. Stay with 28-0. Third quarter, 7:54 left in Chapel Hill. Thompson to kick off. Marriott and real well. Marriott 23 and Blunt 35. Deep to receive the kick of Todd Thompson. Gotten very high kicks today. And that's about the deepest. Marriott. Still on his feet. Well, one more step, and he had a chance to break that for a long, long way. Ike Lewis made the tackle. That's what North Carolina did with the football in the first half. They had great field position, and interception stopped the first drive. Then they had to punt the next 4 times they had the football. And finally, the last drive of the half, they had a chance for a missed field goal. But look how many times they were in Oklahoma territory. Fall starting the second half. Give it to the fullback Thompson, and Thompson stopped the line of scrimmage. Let's go to the sideline and Chris Fowler.
Just spoke with Carolina coach Mack Brown. He said at halftime his players were shocked by the Oklahoma speed. They were not prepared for that. You can't simulate that with the scout team. On offense, he told me he's got a dilemma. He's got 2 quarterbacks who are not completely healthy, yet one of them is going to have to figure out a way to throw the ball, get something happening on offense, and somehow get back in this game.
All right, Chris, thanks very much. It's 2nd and 9. North Carolina with the ball at its own 21. Thompson and Dorn, the running backs behind Jonathan Hall. The 30 to the 31 first down. Kevin, he's got excellent instincts on that. He doesn't look like he has all the blazing speed, but he knows what he's doing.
The key word, you're right, Mike, it's instinct. Watch him cut it inside here. This is the difference in the Carolina offense. See, overplayed on the corner. Hall cuts it up inside, and then he's tough enough to run up. Now, even though he's missed football for a year and a half, that'll affect his passing game, but instinctively, he knows where to run the ball.
Kurt Casper made that last tackle. Thompson. Well, this is Benefield. Huge hole up the middle for Benefield to midfield into Oklahoma territory at the 49. Ken McMitchell and Jerry Parks had to make the tackle after a 20-yard gain. Last week, Benefield had 2 carries for a yard.
When one thing works, something else will work. They go right to the fullback. Nobody there for Oklahoma. Now Benefield running loose in the secondary. Oklahoma pulling at the ball. McMitchell kind of wrestling him down, trying to get that ball away from him. And North Carolina's offense shows some life.
Thompson in at fullback. He's number 40. Thompson will get the carry. This time only about a yard, and Tony Woods, the nose guard, stuffed it along with help from Adrian Cooper, defensive end from the left side.
Chris was saying about how you can't simulate the speed of Oklahoma offensively. The scout team for North Carolina had a wide receiver playing quarterback to try and do that, and they started calling him Jamel. They should have called him Charles, I think.
Either one. Second down and 8. All pitches it to Dorn. A bad pitch that that time, and he couldn't handle it.
They ran it to the short side. They ran it into the boundary, thinking they would have some room. Oklahoma covered the thing completely, and Hall, not knowing what to do with it, just tossed it out of bounds.
They'll mark it at the Oklahoma 47. No gain on the play. 3rd and 8. Three wide receivers into the ball game. Ball batted up in the air. Cooper almost intercepted it after he blocked it. And he was right in the face of Jonathan Hall.
That's where Hall's inactivity is going to hurt him. His lack of recognition. He's limited in what he can do. Oklahoma coming with pressure on the corner. Good job by Adrian Cooper, 6'6", and you can't coach that. You're either 6'6" or you're not.
5th time they have been in Oklahoma territory. No points out of it. Pretty kick by McAllister. Thompson, a late fair catch signal at the 12. Let's go to Chris Fowler.
Mike, I'm standing with the greatest player in the 100-year history of North Carolina football, Charlie Choo Choo Justice. Did it all from 1946 through 49. Ran, caught, kicked. Charlie, I know, like a lot of alumni, you're excited about the rebirth of this program under Mack Brown.
I think Mack Brown's what we've needed here for many years, and we're looking forward to some great years ahead with Mack at the helm.
What is it about him that's going to help rebuild this program?
He's a salesman, and also he mingles well with the alumni. He gets along with people and can recruit, and that's the key to it. Okay, thanks very much, Charlie. Runner for the Heisman of 1949, Mike.
Thank you, Chris, and thank you, Charlie Justice. Holloway on the option. Pitches it, stepped out of bounds at the 26-yard line.
Again, you see Holloway not really cutting up inside, taking that option all the way to the sideline, and that looked to me like it might have been a forward lateral, Mike. It was very close.
26-yard line, a gain of 14.
14-yard gain.
1st and 10 at the Oklahoma 26.
Ball spotted at the 26. Holloway back to Stafford. Has just sheer speed, fumbled the football, and it goes out of bounds. Let's go back to the studio and Tim Brando for a score update.
All right, Mike, we
continue to go 3rd quarter. 1st down Oklahoma. The 2nd time they fumbled. The 2nd time they have not turned it over. And Mack Brown said his team needed some turnovers. Perry, the fullback, to midfield, lunges forward to the Carolina 48-yard line. This is what Oklahoma did when they had the ball in the 1st half. First time they had to punt. And then the next 3 drives, long, time-consuming, punishing drives, all resulted in touchdowns. Then Oklahoma's offense unable to do much the last 3 times they had the football.
Well, the last time there was time running out. The first time it was a penalty that stopped them.
That's right. Holloway with a little stutter step to Stafford. Stafford right down the sideline. They knocked him out of bounds at the 37-yard line, and it was Skeet Baldwin who fought off a block and got a piece of it.
Tar Heels are not in bad position here. Watch number 90, John Reed. He's not going to be in bad position. He just can't catch the guy. He's sitting right there. And as soon as they pitch the ball, he's gone. These guys just fly. I mean, the leverage that you get from speed, that's a great indication. A quicker player on the outside could have run him down for no gain.
Holloway on the keep. Gets stuffed at the 31-yard line by Stuffy Hewitt.
Well, Holloway picked up some yardage there, Mike, but clearly not the same Jamel Holloway. He just does not have the flat-out speed. From way up here, he looks at. Now, he's got a seam here. He just can't break it. There, years past, he'd broke this thing. He'd have been quick enough to get up through that hole and be gone. Gained 6 yards. That could have been 20 yards.
Kevin, I think you're right. He does not have the. He still runs the offense beautifully, but doesn't seem to have the breakaway speed. There goes Holloway to the outside. And what a great decision not to pitch the ball at the last moment. He had Stafford behind him and held on to it just when he got crunched. There's a flag down, however. Vuletich and Goss made the tackle. And this one will go against Oklahoma. You got to be smart to run the option, too.
They never say, nobody will ever tell you Jamel isn't smart. Number 45, Goss, sitting back there. They've been trying to hide him. He's one of the better players on this team, plays off the block and gets some help. But again, in years past, I don't think you'd see Jamel take a hit like that. He's always been deceptive, and what happens when you have an injury is you just don't feel the same. Your body doesn't react the same. He's wearing a big brace on his left knee, and I think, as we said, I don't want to beat it, but I think it's evident that he does not have the same flexibility and quickness that he had. 170 yards, by the way, in this game last year.
That was his career best. He's only gained 18 so far today. He has lost one game as a starter in his career. One. Regular season game. Second along, Holloway back to throw under some pressure. Throws complete to Bross. Great move by Bross to get free and pick up another 10 yards to the North Carolina 18. Victor Bullock made the tackle. 23-yard gain, and this is an element of Oklahoma's offense. If they can do this when they have to, look out.
Well, this is what I always thought the difference between Thompson and Jamel was. That Jamel, I think, is an excellent passer. He'll take it from Dennis Tripp right there. And then, as you said, Goss, again, sitting, maneuverability, speed, defense sitting. Oklahoma able to use that excellent offensive and physical ability to get loose.
2 out of 2 in the passing department for Holloway. Last year completed 43%. Perry straight up the middle. Very hard run inside the 15 to about the Carolina 13-yard line.
Well, Leon Perry runs a 4.5 40. And when I played a 4.5, I mean, you could levitate if you could run a 4.5. These guys, he's talking about a fullback. He used to be a halfback, but there were so many good halfbacks, they moved him to fullback.
He's 223, a junior out of Orlando. Holloway with Stafford behind him. Stafford gets the pitch. Nice tackle by Skeet Baldwin.
Tackle by Skeet Baldwin.
Pitch may have come a little early that time, and Baldwin had a chance to set himself and make the play.
Again, the positioning by Carolina has been good. They've been in position to make the plays, but Mack Brown told us that. He said they understand the option. We run an option ourselves. The problem is when you recognize it, you got to catch it, and they're not catching it.
Third and 3. The reverse Stafford is banged down in the backfield by Cecil Gray, number 97. First time we've seen that play, we may not see it again.
That's a counter. It's a great job by Cecil Gray watching the lineman and not watching the back. What they tell you is if you read the blocking, it'll take you to the back. You don't have to look at the backfield. Cecil never saw the back when he made the play.
Lasher will come on to try a field goal attempt. It's spotted just inside the 20, so it will be a 29-yard field goal attempt. Lasher 10 out of 15 last year. He's got tremendous leg strength. Thompson is the holder. Splits him. There is a flag down. North Carolina may have been offside. Somebody moved early.
And that'll be a first down, Mike, if it is.
And look at Mack Brown.
Yeah, but I have a feeling about this. I believe in a game like this, you have got to try anything. And if you could, I think being offsides in a case like that is trying to block a field goal.
Sure.
So there's a positive side to that. I mean, of course, the other side of it is you're looking at the wishbone now on your own 10-yard line.
Offsides on the defense. First down.
That is the third penalty against North Carolina, certainly the most costly one so far in this ball game, and it makes it first and goal for Oklahoma at the 8.
And the other thing about this offense is you cannot shut it off. You cannot stall the ball because it's based on reads and weakness in the defense and alignment, and with all the personnel they've got, this thing just goes on and on. Slightly inside at Cecil Gray. 97 had him around the knees.
And Carrick and Cunningham. Gain of 3 to the 5-yard line.
Second and goal. Sooners. Fourth ranked in the nation this week. Mike Gaddis is in as the right halfback. Gaddis is the trail man. Holloway. Touchdown, Oklahoma. Well, at times it's just a sprint to the corner, and they're the guys who win the sprint.
And on the field for that long, here they come. They're running away from the boundary to the wide side of the field. There's just no way to catch him. Again, it's Reed trying to catch him. Speed, and more speed, lateral speed. And remember, he's only playing half the game, Holloway. The defense in there the whole time.
Saw number 7, Dan Vuletich, out on the corner. Once again, he had 2 guys to cover. Lasher converts. And when Vuletich went for the pitch man, Jamel Holloway trotted into the end zone. And Oklahoma has posted a 28-0 lead over North Carolina. 7:54 to go in the third quarter from Chapel Hill. They were 28-0 third quarter, 7:54 left in Chapel Hill. Thompson to kick off. Marriott and Blunt are deep to receive. Carolina has done an excellent job returning kickoffs. They've nearly broken 2 of them so far. Not this time. Still loose, and it looks like Carolina got it back at the 21-yard line. One of the up men tried to make the catch. That was Reggie Clark, a backup wide receiver, and just bobbled 21-yard line. 1st and 10, down 28-0 third quarter. Hall is in at quarterback. Throws it off to his tailback, Kennard Martin. Take a look at the last kickoff, Kevin. This was the one that they messed up after doing so well.
Well, Mike, you made a point that they were doing a good job. Reggie Clark, you never go back to field a kickoff. When Randy Marriott is in line to catch the ball, why would Reggie Clark go back and take the ball and then fumble it? So he'll hear about that in the film. And I played as an up back on kickoffs, and the first thing they told me was, don't touch it. Don't go back and don't. That's where we got a guy behind you.
You had a smart coach.
Yeah.
2nd and 8 for Carolina. Hall puts some mustard on that, and it's dropped by Kennard Martin coming out of the backfield. And that plagued North Carolina last week. Dropped balls against South Carolina. It's tough enough to throw against an excellent defense, and when you put it on the money, somebody better catch it.
Look at this pass. He threw it through 2 arms. Second pass that Kennard Martin's dropped today. And you're right, Mike. You're right. I mean, you have to go 10 for 10 against this team, or 20 for 20 when you got guys dropping. It's not good.
Well, Jonathan Hall's got to say, look, I've had 3 shoulder surgeries. I'm still chucking this thing. You got to catch it. Look out from behind. And coming was James Good, number 39, the second time he's been able to get there on a blind side freebie.
James Good.
You got to do one of you got to run at this guy. I think that's whether you got to run a play at this guy or else you got to block him. Now here's Dorn down there, and he thinks he's going to get the screen, but you got to be able to, you got to be able to slow him down. Hall not even thinking screen. I don't know what Dorn was doing because Hall was looking the other way.
McAllister to punt. Should be returnable. Thompson at the 43. Should have been, but wasn't. They only got a 4-yard return after a good kick driven out of bounds at his own 47. A 42-yard punt.
Thompson returns. 42-yard punt by McAllister.
Oklahoma's ball was 6:23 to go.
4-yard
coming up. Eric Mitchell to the carry, driven out of bounds as he got into North Carolina territory for 48 yards.
Pushed down by Victor Bullock.
Great field position this time for the Sooners, and as you see, they don't need real good field position. That is the average length of the drive they have made. So field position can be overcome with great speed and brilliant athletes.
You're not talking about a team that has to complete a pass. So once they break it in the clear, they just got to run that far.
Well, they've thrown twice. Bad pitch that time. The third fumble for Oklahoma. The third one they've gotten back as Gaddis falls on it. Mack Brown's got to be sitting on the sideline saying, hey, we're supposed to get some of those. Barry Switzer is not real happy that they've had 3.
Well, he's upset because he's got to be thinking Nebraska, USC, Arizona. This game's about over. What he's thinking about is this guy could be his starting quarterback. If he's going to get lazy on those pitches like that, he could lose a game easily to Nebraska or USC or one of the teams on his schedule that maybe give him a little better battle.
Mitchell is now the deep back in this set. Gaddis goes to a flanker spot. Thompson just tried to flip that under pressure and couldn't get it out to Leon Perry. Antonio Goss was right in his face.
Yeah, nice job by Antonio Goss. And again, remember I told you about Jamel? I think he's a better passer, a little bit more poise. I think what you see there in 2 plays, you see Thompson getting lazy on the pitch, and then there was nothing good about that pass play to start. He never really set himself. He never tried to set himself. And in the end, he tossed the ball up for grabs.
And that's probably what Barry Switzer is telling him. High snap, but no pressure, and another low line drive kick. 1 on the first time. Got it out to the 17-yard line. Carolina will start from there. Artie Getz, a backup wide receiver, made the tackle. 7-yard. 38-0 Oklahoma. Tar Heels ball at their own 17. Hall, quarterback, running the option with Torn Dorn behind him. That shows you some speed by Jonathan Hall out to 26. Just ran away from the pursuit. Let's go to the sideline. Chris Fowler.
Thanks, Mike. I have to agree with you that Jamel Holloway does not look 100% today, yet I just asked him how his knee feels. He says it feels fine. However, he's also spending a lot of time walking around the sideline, flexing it and adjusting the brace. So we'll have to talk more with that about him after the game.
All right, Chris, thank you. 4:51 to go. Gain of 8 yards for Hall on that last carry. He's been very effective running the option. Thompson, the fullback, going for the first down. Looks like he has enough yardage to get it. Kurt Casper made the tackle.
I'll tell you, I think Hall looks great.
He does.
I think he looks great. He's thrown a couple of passes that have been dropped. He's completed a couple, and on the option, there's no comparison between he and Deems May on the option.
6 carries, 30 yards for Hall. 1 pass completed out of 5 attempts. But as Kevin said, he's had a couple drops. And really, what he has done that surprised me, he has thrown the ball with a lot of steam on it. His last shoulder operation was in May. Zips another one in there. That one was almost intercepted as he threw into double coverage trying to hit Torn Dorn out of the backfield.
Well, they've thrown to the tailback almost exclusively today. Now, you see him in motion. They're trying to isolate him on the linebackers, but the linebackers do a pretty good job here. That looks a little bit almost like interference. Frank Blevins getting in there just a little bit late. Scott Garl helping out.
2nd and 10, Carolina. Going in motion. Quarterback draw, and Hall not this time. Woods wrapped him up in a hurry. Tony Woods had seen that play a couple of too many times.
I don't know how many times you can run that thing. It's a quarterback screen. Tony Woods makes a sandwich out of Jonathan Hall. You got to be flexible to withstand this. Just a little late. Woods beating that block, just carrying the block with him, and lucky he didn't get his legs caught under there. It would have caused some damage. Good play by Tony Woods.
And he beat one of the best centers in the country, Jeff Garnica. 3rd and 12. 4-man rush. Here they come. Hall throws on the run. Knocked away. Scott Garl was back there on pass defense for Oklahoma. Carolina will have to punt again.
4th and 12.
I don't think they've got anything to lose with a fake punt here. McAllister is a quarterback.
McAllister will be punting.
And I don't see a whole lot of difference between 28-0, 35-0, 42-0. And this thing has been open all day.
Glenn Milburn, number 5, is deep to receive the punt. Beautiful kick by McAllister. Milburn from the 23. Loses a yard, knocked out of bounds at the 27. 47-yard kick to its own 26. 1st and 10. 3:25 to go, 3rd quarter. Thompson on the option. 40 to midfield, fumble the football. They'll rule it dead. The ground caused that one at the North Carolina 49.
Tackle on Thompson.
Well, Thompson does get out there, doesn't he?
Here's that flat-out speed. He's faster than Jamel Holloway. Going to their left. And as you can see, Carolina just cannot catch him. People on the ground, no good, and now upfield. And a pretty good play here to stop him from going all the way. He's gone if that guy doesn't make the tackle.
Oklahoma back in North Carolina territory. Mitchell to the 42-yard line of North Carolina. Vuletich, the strong safety who has been very busy, made the stop on that one. Mitchell, a senior from Pine Bluff, Arkansas. Former quarterback, another guy who can really run the option.
I've always liked him. I watched him since he was a freshman. I've liked him. I thought he was a great option quarterback. He never could get Jamel out of there, so they moved him to halfback. And if he wants to be a pro, actually, he's got a better chance at halfback. 205 pounds. He's a big kid.
There's Jamel. A little breather over there with Damon Stell. Thompson gives it to Anderson. The fullback stacked up this time. Got very near first down yardage. He needed to get just inside the 39.
Tackled by Bernard Timmons. Also on the tackle was Leonard Dempsey.
And Vuletich is slow getting up from this one.
And Vuletich is the injured.
Been in on a lot of tackles.
It's a cramp.
First and 10 Sooners. Thompson this time stacked up in his own backfield. Willie Joe Walker. And Kevin, you said he's the guy that makes the big plays. That's the second big play he's made this game.
There's a lot of theories here. There's reading, playing off blocks, and then it's just taking off and getting into the secondary. Penetration will always kill the option, and so will speed. Willie Joe runs around the block a little bit, gets his hands on Charles Thompson, and makes the big play.
And how can you not like a football player whose name's Willie Joe?
No, you can't. You certainly can't not like him.
237-pound junior from Bradenton, Florida. Second and 15 Sooners. Thompson straight back to throw. Near side and complete to Bross. Bross knocked out of bounds at the 33. Thompson showed a pretty good arm on that one.
Eric Bross. Pushed out by Larry Whiteside.
Here's a look at Thompson. We talked about him as a passer versus Jamel. He's only 5'10", has to throw the ball just a little bit higher. But as usually happens against Oklahoma, when you've been playing the run the whole game, the pass is usually wide open. A little zone coverage, again, lack of speed, and he's able to drop it in there. Lack of speed for Carolina.
Larry Whiteside made the tackle. It's 3rd and 4. They'll run the out. Thompson stacked up. Loose ball. Carolina's football. Leonard Dempsey made the hit.
All right, they were going to put 2 men on the quarterback all day. They've got inside out. They've got one linebacker on the inside trying to make the play, another on the outside, both on the quarterback. And what you're going to see is Leonard Dempsey, number 61. Coming from inside out, gets his hand on Thompson. The ball is loose and recovered.
John Reed, number 90, was the guy who came up with it after Dempsey shook it loose. The first turnover for Oklahoma. Ball back in at quarterback. Under pressure again. Floats it out, intended for his fullback, Michael Benefield. And they're really putting their ears back and coming after Hall now.
Well, they don't have much choice. Carolina has got to throw the ball. But that was a nice play by Hall and Benefield. Hall kind of read what he was going to do, dropped the ball over. It was a little long.
Now, you saw the stats on Hall, 1 out of 8 for 18 yards. People who haven't seen this game will pick up the paper and say, gee, that's terrible. He has not played that badly at all.
And he hasn't played the year and a half. That makes a difference.
Martin, the man in motion. He's the threat man on the pitch and gets it. Nice move by Martin up to the 39-yard line. Excellent move after he got the pitch, and Kurt Casper, number 46, made the tackle, and Casper comes up limping a little.
For a gain of 7. Correction, 8 yards.
All right, it's a straight option, though. Oklahoma could do a better job on the corner. Again, Hall making a good pitch. Martin running strong up the sideline. That's what he does well. He's dropped some passes, but he's in there because he's a little harder runner than Dorn.
3rd and 2. But they won't get the play off in time. It's the end of the 3rd quarter in Chapel Hill. It's Oklahoma 28, North Carolina 3rd and 2 from their own 39. Martin struggling to get back to the line of scrimmage, and he can't do it. Coming up from the secondary, Greg DeQuazy made the stop, and that'll bring up a 4th down. So Oklahoma very opportunistic, making the plays when they have to.
Tough call, Mike. I formation, easy to read. Team that's physically overpowering like Oklahoma. Again, look at the fake punt. I still got to believe that they've got to try a fake punt this game.
Milburn is deep to receive. McAllister, another beautiful kick. Milburn all the way back to the 10. Got it back to the 14-yard line, and Carolina swarming on defense after a 52-yard punt. Let's check in with Tim Brando.
All right, Mike. You know, there are those in the ACC.
Thank you, Tim.
1st down.
Oklahoma's football at its own 14-yard line. Holloway is back in there at quarterback. And he gives off to the 3rd-string left half, Rod Fisher. Fisher is in there with Perry at fullback and Gaddis at the right half. And the last 2 times Charles Thompson has come off the field, Barry Switzer has chewed on him a little bit.
I don't blame him. I don't blame him. You have to keep your intensity. Even though I'll talk after this play, talk about something that Barry Switzer believes about scheduling.
2nd and 6. Hit him at the line of scrimmage, drags him forward to the 24.
Again, we talked about Mack Brown and how he had spent time at Oklahoma, and he was telling us about Barry Switzer and his coaching philosophy. He feels that he can only get 4 great efforts a year out of his team, and he believes that you need 7 teams, if you're going to play 11 games, on your schedule that you can beat on talent alone, because you're only going to get your talent to operate at top efficiency 4 times a year. If he acknowledges that, he's got to be worried about Charles Thompson if he's going to have lapses in game.
Sure. 3rd and a yard, quarterback keeper. 1st down, Oklahoma. Well, he's got the talent to beat at least 7 teams on his schedule.
There's a lot of talent right there under that jersey.
Yeah.
Because talent isn't everything. I think that's where people maybe sell Oklahoma a little short. They've got great players, but they've got a great coaching staff, and they get these great players to play pretty well.
Yeah. Switzer 148, 26 and 4, starting his 16th year. Holloway cuts this one up, and he's got a seam. 50-yard line. Brought down by Antonio Gass, who was trailing the play and had to make the tackle. A 24-yard gain for Jamel.
Nobody there when he gets to the corner, but I want you to see something that Jamel never used to do. He's got a caravan here. Now watch him cruise. He's got the opening, and it looks to me like he's not really going for the end zone. He's cruising. He's kind of cruising, and he gets caught from behind. In the old days, boom, he was gone.
Perry, the fullback. Boy, he has run very, very hard tonight. Pounded a lot, picks up 4 yards on that last play. Check out some other scores for you. Florida State trying to rebound. Alabama leads Temple. Western Carolina behind South Carolina 1st quarter. Penn State has now made it 20-0 over Virginia. That's a 1st period score. Joe Paterno is another one of those coaches. He can lose a lot of players. The cupboard isn't bare.
Virginia had hopes of winning that game. Doesn't look like it.
They better hurry. Holloway on the option. They've got him this time. Reed with a nice job from his outside linebacker spot. The storyline, Chapel Hill, what you might expect from Oklahoma. 432 yards in total offense. 6 backs have done the damage, and North Carolina has only managed 8 first downs in the ballgame.
How quietly Oklahoma has gotten 432 yards, just kind of banging it up the field.
Surgery is often quiet.
Yes.
This has been surgery. 3rd and 8. Holloway to throw. Plenty of time over the middle, a little short. And diving forward and incomplete was Eric Ross. sort of flew funny off Jamel's hand.
Talk about Oklahoma. We're going to talk about North Carolina. Mack Brown's first year. He said he has everything he needs to put this program back together. Of course, being his first 2 games, he's had a rough time, but he's got the facilities, he's got the academics, he's got everything he needs to build a program here and put the Tar Heels back on top.
Sure does. Slight stadium expansion here. Luxury boxes, new press box. Maybe the best kick Thompson's gotten off today, although it takes a bad bounce. Another short kick. Thompson averaged 38.4 yards a kick last year. Has not kicked well today. That one only went 24. North Carolina's football when we come back. The sideline right now. They're down 28-0. Tar Heels take over at their own 16-yard line with 11:02 to go in the game. Deems May back in at quarterback. Gives it straight up the middle to the 20. May, a redshirt freshman, and Jonathan Hall, a thrice operated on junior. Some other scores: Wake Forest. Should have a pretty good ball club this year with a good start. Florida over Mississippi. That's second quarter. Indiana trying to do something for the Big Ten, leading Rice. Tulane over Iowa State. And all the scores and highlights, of course, with Tim and Bino following our broadcast. 2nd and 6 Carolina right now. May with good protection over the middle to Torrin Dorn at the 44-yard line. Greg DeQuazy made the tackle. There is a flag down, however, back in the North Carolina backfield, and it's a holding call. Kevin, I think the reason it's important right now for North Carolina not to quit, even though they're down 28-0, they know they're not going to win the ball game. But they've got 9 regular season games to go after this one, and they're trying to build a program here.
I think the key, what you say, is right, Mike. Building a program with high school coaches here. I think Mack Brown's got type of personality, as we'll see the call here.
Penalty against the Tar Heels.
He'll get the backing. He will get the backing from the alumni, and he will be able to recruit. But what he needs to have is a little bit of success. I don't think this game is a total failure for North Carolina. I think based on the type of personnel he's playing, a lot of young kids, people will understand this. And again, North Carolina has the academic philosophy and the reputation that I think will attract quality student athletes. We'll talk about that in a minute.
May on 2nd and long, throws to the near sideline. Job by Marriott to get away after the catch, gets up to the 25-yard line. Marriott scored the only touchdown for Carolina last week on an end around.
Well, Deems May, of course, has the stronger arm, and that's why he's in there. He's going across the field, was banged on the shoulder earlier, and Marriott has been a star in this game, even though they haven't scored. He's had some good kickoff returns, as you said, scored on a reverse. He shows some strength and ability to run inside. He just doesn't go out of bounds like some receivers would. He stayed in, fought for yardage.
3rd and short for Carolina. They line up in the I. And they'll give it to Thompson. The fullback gets up to the 30. That will be a first down. Barry Switzer now with his 2nd line defense in there.
I was talking about academics. Every freshman that comes to North Carolina has to go to study hall 10 hours a week. And if they don't show up or they miss class, they call their parents immediately. They really keep an eye on the kids here at North Carolina. And I think that type of thing will pay off. That reputation will get around, and they'll get some good players here. That's what they need. A little more speed, better players.
Makes the parents happy. Here comes the blitz on May. Still has plenty of time. Throws behind. Torrin Dorn at midfield. Had him open.
Unless we forget about Oklahoma, too. Now, Oklahoma, you talk about academically, Oklahoma in the past 2 years, 2 years ago, they graduated 23 out of 25 seniors on their football team. Last year, it was 18 out of 23. A very fine graduation rate. Sometimes this man doesn't get credit for that. But these guys get through school and they get out of school. You got 2 of the best here in the country.
And I have to agree with the administrators who would like to put scholarships based on that graduation rate. Deems May wrapped up at the 15-yard line. Didn't have a chance as Kurt Casper came through and got him, along with Tracy Gordon, number 47.
Deems May looks like he's riveted to the ground here. Here we come right up the middle. And Deems May saw that. Now, a redshirt freshman's got to get rid of the ball instantly. 4 sacks, 3 blocked, 4 hurries, 1 interception, 6 knockdowns. If you add all that up, Carolina like that many points, wouldn't they?
Yeah, no kidding. And Deems May and Jonathan Hall middle. That's going to be shy of a first down, however.
But that's a big play for Carolina. Blunt is a guy. These guys need a little bit of confidence. They need something good to happen. And when they make a play like that against Oklahoma, even though it's a softer defense, they can take that back to the film room and build on it.
McAllister is on to punt. And Glenn Milburn back to receive. Milburn at the 23. Empty the corner. Knocked out of bounds to the 28. 7:56 left in Chapel Hill. 40-yard kick, 4-yard return. Still 28. Oklahoma 28, North Carolina nothing. All the scores and highlights coming up following our telecast with Tim Brando and Vino Cook. Oklahoma's football running the option, and Gaddis driven out of bounds as he crosses the 40 to the 43. Gaddis, a redshirt freshman. They're very high on him. Our student of the game from North Carolina is Kurt Green, 3.54 grade point average in political science. Wide receiver who's played a few downs in this ballgame, caught a pass.
Was a walk-on early on.
We got a tour of the beautiful academic center they have here at North Carolina, and they really do a great job for their kids. Gaddis on the toss. Hit in the backfield, Alex Samakis from Pittsburgh, right on top of him. Well, they said Carolina didn't give up at all against South Carolina last week, even though they were beaten. They certainly haven't given up today either.
One of the beauties of playing young players, and of course Mac is playing a lot of young players, is they're going to be around for 4 years, and they may have to look at this film for 4 years. So they're so they want to get better, and that's what they're accomplishing here right now.
2nd and 11. Thompson back in there on the key, got away from one tackle, lost the ball. And it will be Oklahoma retaining possession.
Boy, Barry's going to sit next to him on the bus back to the hotel. That was always the worst thing, you know. If the coach came and sat next to you on the bus after the game, you knew you were in trouble.
He wasn't being pals.
Yeah, I'd like to just say a few things. I'd like to talk to you.
And Barry has really been chewing on Thompson when he's come out of the ball game, and most of the turnovers have come with him in there.
Yeah. Look at that look. I had to ask you a question about Barry and the 5 people in history that he would most likely invite to dinner.
Thompson on the half roll, throws incomplete, intended for Cabanis at the Oklahoma 45, or at the North Carolina 45.
When I first heard this, you know, I thought we were going to hear, you know, Bud Wilkinson, Blackie Sherrod, certainly some of the guys. You would think they would be sports figures, but they're not. The guys that he would most like to invite to dinner through history: Albert Einstein. I always wanted to have Albert at dinner myself. Mozart, Jesus, Leif Erikson. He thought he's kind of a wild type of guy. I'd like to have him there. And Abraham Lincoln. I think that's kind of interesting when you think of Barry Switzer. It's a little more that meets the eye there.
Some interesting dinner conversation.
Certainly would.
Carolina comes after the punt, don't quite get it again. A very poor kick, and takes a North Carolina bounce down to the 25-yard line. 28-yard punt, and a tough night for Todd Thompson, the 6'1 senior. There are the winningest active coaches, and Switzer and Osborne both out of the Big 8. Joe Paterno just behind, Schembechler and BYU Lavelle Edwards. Pretty good. That's select company.
He's won for a long time, and I think that's a true test.
Deems May, the quarterback. Comes the blitz by Oklahoma. Pass complete to Marriott. Marriott to the 39-yard line. And Kurt Garl a little upset with himself.
Deems May was a wishbone quarterback in high school. He looks a little slow to be a wishbone quarterback, but they're turning him into a drop-back quarterback. Nice job by he and Marriott on this play. And good things are happening here for North Carolina. I think their defense has played well later. They've only given up that one touchdown. It was a penalty that created that. It would have been a field goal. I think they've done pretty well here in the second half.
Of course, you see they have not been able to move the ball at all, even though they have been in Oklahoma territory 5 times. May again throws to Martin out of the backfield. He'll pick up a couple. Or he's driven back by Scott Garl.
Mac Brown was concerned last week that they did a lot of good. In fact, he felt like there were no glaring errors last week, offensively and defensively, and yet they lost 31-10. I think you could pretty much say the same thing today. I think Oklahoma's beating them on speed on the outside, just better talent. but they seem to learn their lessons well, and they're prepared for these games.
5:17 to go. Carolina at its own 43. Good got a quick start coming after May, and now May's got to try to run. There is a flag down. May was sacked by Tom Backus, number 85. But it looked like James Good got a head start on the pass rush.
Number 39 is going to be a great player for Oklahoma. He's got that, yeah, they're going to call him off sides here. He's got that great quickness and the strength and the ability to give you that great pass rush. Reminds me a little bit of Kevin Murphy. Kevin Murphy played for him a few years ago. He's going to be a good one. A lot of guys, you know, you wonder, you're all new people, and you say, well, how can you put 11 new guys in there? Well, this 11... They've been lifting weights and eating nails for a year, just kind of biding their time.
And you got to be willing to do that at Oklahoma most of the time, playing behind someone else who's an All-American till you get your shot at it.
Yeah, the great programs are incredible. They just keep running them in.
Rankin and Marriott will go to the far side as the wide receivers and the 3 wide receivers set. Blunt to the near side. Martin on the run, gets to midfield. Let's go to Chris Fowler.
Mike, after watching Oklahoma here, I can't help thinking about the game in 2 weeks in the Coliseum between Southern Cal and Oklahoma. In my opinion, both offenses good enough to move the ball on the other team. Rodney Peete may be able to exploit the center defense a lot better than North Carolina has today, but for whatever it's worth, and it's not worth that much, I'll pick Southern Cal. What do you guys think?
I think Rodney Peete will create enormous problems for the defense. He'll negate that rush right away because he recognizes defenses so well. It'll be a great football game.
May back to throw. Well, really leans into him, throwing intended for Kurt Green, our Scholastic player of the game. Here's some scores to update you. 10th ranked Florida State leading Alabama over Temple first quarter. South Carolina has increased its lead. Penn State now at 21-0 on Virginia, another first quarter score.
2nd and 10.
Chris Fowler, as far as that prediction is concerned, they're like all predictions. If you get it right, we won't acknowledge it. If you get it wrong, we'll hold you to it.
Week after week.
2nd and 10. Benefield on the little swing. Nice catch. Benefield inside the Oklahoma 40-yard line. That was great athletic ability on that one to be able to turn around, catch a pass thrown behind you, and still keep your balance.
You got to like Benefield. He had a nice run earlier in the game, and you're right, Mike. It's just a tremendous effort. Dean's accuracy not as great as it should be. Part of the thing here is to try to put it in a place where he can catch it and go forward. But Benefield does a nice job. The line gets out there. A good little hard runner.
Ken McMitchell must have thought, why me? Both blockers went after him and buried him. Doing the man in motion. He lost his footing for a second, tipped and almost intercepted at the 20-yard line. Kevin Thompson had a shot at it. It looked like Kurt Casper, the player who tipped it.
Mac was saying all you need to do to move the ball. Tulane, he had great success. He said all you need to move the ball is 3 players: quarterback, a running back, and a wide receiver. Even though he's got linemen here, he says really that linemen aren't all that necessary. Well, I don't know that that's 100% true. I think what he's saying is that you can create an offense, a wide open offense like you had at Tulane if you have those speed people. That's one thing he does not have here.
What he wants here is both speed and size. Be a national force in football. May incomplete up the 34-yard line. Once again threw it into double cover. And Deems May really took a shot after he threw it. It was intended for Rankin. Carolina quarterbacks have been roughed up a little bit. Scoreboard show follows our telecast. Tim Brando with all the highlights and scores from your college football Saturday. And some surprises and close calls on this weekend in September. 3rd and 10, North Carolina. 3:43 to go in the ball game. They're down 28-0. Trying to put something on the board. Good pass protection again from Deems May. Over the middle, this one's picked off. Thompson to the 35-yard line and knocked down. Kevin Thompson, the junior from Houston, Texas, on the ball. It was overthrown.
It was never there, Mike. Thompson sat there, and May has this habit. Watch him turn. Hey, look at him locked on there and throwing it way downfield. Thompson playing exactly where he should in a safety position. Now it's just a matter of how far he's going to run the ball back.
So far today, Oklahoma has rushed for 372 yards as you get a good look at Kevin Thompson. 372 on the ground for Oklahoma today. They got a long way to go for their record. 758, the all-time rushing record. They did that in 1980 against Colorado. And Charles Thompson in the ballgame as a quarterback. He wants to use an Oklahoma timeout with 3:31 to go to talk it over with Barry Switzer. Deems May talking to the coaches upstairs. And we'll be back to Chapel in the game. They're up 28-0. Thompson in the action, chased down from behind and dropped. Nice defensive play again. Willie Joe Walker. And this kid's going to be playing some more. Oklahoma has fumbled the ball 6 times today, but they have only lost it once. And Charles Thompson has been the quarterback and the villain 4 times. These kids said they were not intimidated by Oklahoma. They had seen them last year. They just went out and played as hard as they could. Fisher on the carry to the 42. We got a new quarterback in there, Chris Nelson. A freshman from Ada, Oklahoma, is the 3rd quarterback to see action. Wake Forest on some scores, leading 14-0. Florida over Mississippi. Duke and Tennessee scoreless first quarter. Indiana now leading Rice 10-0. Miami, Ohio over Oklahoma State. Iowa State has come back to lead Tulane 10-7. Clock running with 2:25. Got a sack as Bowman gets in there and makes the tackle on Nelson.
-5, a loss of 5 yards, back to the Oklahoma 37.
It makes it very tough if you're giving up that many yards to stay in a ball game. We have 2:10 to go. We've got a timeout on the field here in Chapel Hill, and we'll be back in Smith, the deep man, but you can bet North Carolina will be coming after Thompson again. Got close last time. And to overload the near side. Got it out of there, and his best punt of the night. Brad Smith at the 20, a fair catch. In 3 years at Oklahoma, Jamel Holloway has won 3 Big 8 titles and a national championship, but he hasn't been able to beat Miami. We asked him, would he like one more shot?
Most definitely. But the impact that Miami has in my head, all their players are gone. And that's what I'm mad about. You know, everybody that's played on that team, basically, that started when I started, are all gone. So, I mean, it'll be great to beat them, but it won't have that real push in them because all their great players are gone.
Well, they got a few more, a lot like Oklahoma.
They asked Florida State how many.
Yeah, wasn't that one of the shockers of, I mean, that could have happened anytime during a year and you'd have been stunned. Florida State, most people's preseason #1 choice, and Miami just hammered them 31-0. Jonathan Hall back in a quarterback for North Carolina, and he slipped and fell on the first play. This one over the middle, complete to Blunt at the 37-yard line. Good throw by Jonathan Hall. Good catch by Blunt, and Jamel on the sideline. His night is over. 31-1 as his start. Pretty tough to beat.
Boys at the crib. You know what that one was?
That was the guy.
That was the team he was just talking about.
Please be sure to send Joshua South Orange Rescue Squad ambulance near gate 2.
We should go to the other sideline. Not too much chatter. Although when they look back at this one, 28-0 against the 4th-ranked team in the country with all their youth and inexperience, it's not a bad score to post. And in fact, it was the score of last year's game.
Nothing to be ashamed of. And as Mack Brown said, we're looking at the program, not the game. And I think that's a very intelligent way to go. They're talking about how do we fix our program, how do we build our program. Let's not worry about an individual game, South Carolina, Oklahoma. Let's get some players in here. He's on a 4-year plan. He expects to be a pretty good football team at the end of that 4th year.
Hope you'll be with us tomorrow night for a special presentation of CFA. Once again over the middle. Dorn almost had it, was separated by Jerry Parts. Nice try, and a great hit by Parks.
Got to be reassuring for North Carolina. This is a pretty good pass, too. Hall has thrown the ball pretty well. It's right on the mark, drops it in the middle. Parks does a nice job, but the ball was there. And so Jonathan Hall has thrown the ball fairly accurately and downfield.
There is a flag down, however, and Oklahoma is backing up. And we've got a face mask call against the Sooners, which will take it out to the 42-yard line.
5-yard penalty, the ball at the 42, 1st and 5.
It'll be a 1st and 5 situation for Carolina. Ball with plenty of time, rips this one in there, complete to Marriott. Marriott at the Oklahoma 43, and you're right, Kevin, he really has thrown the ball well.
He's thrown the ball well, and he, as a great quarterback will do, or at least a quarterback with a good mind will do. He's recognizing it early enough, so if he doesn't have arm strength, he's getting the ball in there quick enough. Of course, Oklahoma playing a little bit of a soft zone, too.
104 and counting. Hall under pressure this time, got rid of it, but threw behind Blunt. He was covered by Blevins, sophomore linebacker.
Nice job of recognizing it and getting rid of the ball. If I'm thinking about Oklahoma, those of you that are wondering, Oklahoma's so highly ranked, if I had some concern about Oklahoma, I'd say it would be the perimeter defense in terms of the option. They had a real problem stopping the quarterback when Hall got in there, and their pass defense a little bit. And also I'd be concerned about Jamel and his ability to get loose on the big gainer anymore, and whether or not teams will pick up on that. And then Thompson is the backup quarterback, whether he'll hold the ball and make good decisions. Those are the things that will be a key down the road for Oklahoma.
Ball quarterback draw. Plenty of room. 24-yard line. Nice run by Jonathan Hall. Benefield threw him a good block, and he gained 21 yards.
That's a tough play for a new defensive unit to have to deal with, and you can bet that Oklahoma down the road will see a little option, and they'll see this play because it's worked all night. People overcommitting for Oklahoma, playing pass, and Hall running loose. Remember, the quarterback's the only guy that doesn't have a player assigned to him in the defensive secondary, and unless your line seals that thing off, he will get loose.
Of course, you were talking about the problems you see with Oklahoma. We might point out that we even with problems, we're talking about the difference between either 9-2, 10-1, 11-0, or 12-0.
Yeah, I think you make a good point. I'm talking national championship.
Exactly.
Here. When you talk about Oklahoma and their level of excellence, they're talking Big 8 championship, national championship. We're not talking about a good season. We're talking about a perfect. This team could beat most teams.
Other people come in with goals of having a winning season, maybe trying to win 9 or 10 games, being nationally ranked. They don't worry about any of that stuff. They go for the conference championship and a national title, and that's it.
Right. Those are their goals historically, and they've achieved them, so there's no reason to go any less. But a team with a little bit of speed, more speed than North Carolina, I think, on the perimeter, might cause Oklahoma some problems.
Of course, they realize the problem with the wishbone is their inability at times to pass the football, and they've worked hard on that, trying to get a little bit better passing game.
The people are not compatible. The great outside receiver that'll throw a crunching block is never going to be a great outside receiver.
50 seconds to go. Blitz on Hall. Throws deep over the middle and incomplete. Just overthrown. Intended for Kurt Green. Chris Wilson coming hard right in the face of Jonathan Hall.
We haven't talked about the tight end situation with Van Kiersbelt to tackle. He's played all night. Really hasn't been a factor because of the score. But the guy that they lost at Oklahoma that they considered the biggest loss was Keith Jackson, because he gave him that deep threat at tight end and also an excellent blocker.
And of course, they've lost or don't have the services of 4 tight ends so far, so they are going with a converted tackle. 2nd and 10. Hall under pressure, throws for the end zone, picked off. Intercepted by Jerry Parks at the goal line, and that will end the last North Carolina threat. And Jonathan Hall really upset with himself.
Well, he had to go. You know, you've only got 40 seconds, and Mack Brown being a cheerleader, and that's exactly what he should do. That was a pretty good drive by Carolina, but this is also an excellent defensive team. He's getting pressure. He's got to throw it. And this is perfect coverage by Parks, sitting right inside the way he should.
That's the 3rd interception of North Carolina passes by that Sooner defense.
Hall, after after a year and a half, he doesn't have to hang his head. He's played pretty well. Played a little bit against South Carolina and done very well today.
40 seconds left, and Chris Nelson, the quarterback, will win the action. Nelson across the 20 to the 26-yard line. Brought down by Brian Causey, and they'll just let the clock run. We're inside 30 seconds.
Gain of 6.
Well, just a pretty good opener for Oklahoma, too. On the road with not one starter back on defense, 4 starters on offense, all the injury problems they've had. Gary Switzer ought to be pretty happy to walk out of here 28-0. Nelson on the toss to Wilbur. Loose. And it's North Carolina's football, but there is no time left on the clock. Our final score here at Chapel Hill. Oklahoma 28, North Carolina nothing. For Kevin Kiley and Chris Fowler, I'm Mike Patrick. Thanks for watching.
In it.